Welcome in. It is Monday night here on the LTL Media Channel, and wow. I had a whole show planned out. We were going to talk Proctor, we were going to talk Fahey, and then I got a document today and said, we've got to reshape the show. So we are going tonight to go through Michael Proctor's internal affairs report. And I'm just going to be upfront with everybody. I don't think there's going to be too many shocking things, but and too many things that we don't already know. But there are some things in there. It looks like some of the exhibits were left out, and we're going to do some supplement reports on that and get that. But yeah, this should be a great show, and I want to welcome everybody in. Make sure to smash that like button as you come in. Subscribe if you haven't done that. Let's not wait too much longer. Let's bring in my Monday night guests. We have Nan Gallagher. How are you?
I'm great, Brian. How are you?
I'm well. And Todd McGhee. How are you doing, Todd?
I'm good. Good to see you both.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Nan had some vacation. She was away down in Florida, hanging out with Mickey Mouse. So hopefully you got some rest and relaxation, Nan. And Todd, I'm sure you've been relaxing in and around the pool.
Staycation. Yes.
Staycation. I love it. Well, not too much going on here, but again, today I had this like massive show planned out. We were going to go through Brian Fahey. I had the internal affairs investigation for him. We were going to talk about Proctor and Miles King. And then all of a sudden, boom, I get one of my FOIA requests get responded to, and I get Michael Proctor's internal affairs investigation report. And I go, okay, we need to kind of tailor the show here. And we're going to go through the document today. But how this all started, which was very interesting, this morning, Ted Daniel put a tweet out, and I'll show it here to everybody. Ted Daniel puts this tweet out and says, a lot of our reporting relies on access to public records. The records are supposed to be produced in a timely manner. And it says, here's a response I was CC'd on from a request from a former coworker they had made on 11/27/23, 621 days ago. And I put a reply, and Ted actually ended up hearting it. It was kind of funny. He said, I said, Ted, I still have records requests pending from the Mass State Police from 4 months ago. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised. Transparency doesn't seem to be the strong suit in these departments. And literally a half an hour later, I get the IA report, and I went, now, is that coincidence on timing? Is someone watching? But I will say this. Last night, because I knew I had these pending requests, I literally put a reply, and I said, what is the update on some of my requests? And it came through, which was like wild. I don't know. What do we think? Timing, coincidence, fate? What is it? I can't figure it out.
I think it's one of those things where, you know, you start talking about someone and suddenly you hear from them. So it's a little bit of fate. And I've read the report. It's a little bit of magic.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this report. So what I'm going to do to spare everybody from my dyslexia, I'm not going to read it, but I do have some AI help that's going to actually read through the document. And what we'll do is if either one of you want to stop and, opine on it, just let me know. I'll give everybody kind of a basic summary. So what we're going to hear about is obvious investigation that began on March 4th, 2024. After the Norfolk County DA's office told MSP leadership that the U.S. Attorney's Office had obtained Proctor's personal phone during a federal probe. Messages revealed derogatory and defamatory comments about Karen Reed, plus sharing of non-public investigative information. Proctor was the primary investigator in John O'Keefe's death case. We're going to hear about sharing confidential information, derogatory, defamatory remarks. We had alcohol while on duty, and then the gift suggestions. Department conclusion, sustained misconduct, sharing victim witness info and unauthorized persons, revealing investigative plans and making derogatory comments to a civilian and other officers consuming alcohol while on duty and driving a cruiser, and overall conduct bringing dispute to the MSP. Not sustained allegations of seeking a gift, allegations of searching for nude photos, exoneration, overtime pay, and Nan's going to talk a little bit about that before we bring it up. but overtime pay allegations found reasonable. Nan, what did you find? What did you read through here on this document about overtime pay?
Yeah. So when I'll take my off. So there in the report, there's a discussion about the incident. I guess it's on the Cape. I don't know the geography out there, but when he went out on the Cape with Kevin, you get your
Albert's right
mixed up. But he went out on the Cape with Kevin Albert, and the issue arose that Proctor had worked his regular shift that day, which I believe was July of 2022. And then what happened was he then put in for overtime when that shift was over. And during that shift or overtime stint, I mean, he was having drinks, he was having dinner. Why are taxpayers paying for him to have overtime pay during that time period? He was also consuming alcohol, and the report goes into that while operating a state-issued cruiser. My recollection from reading this report this afternoon was that this board determined, okay, it seemed fine. We're not going to really spank him for the fact that he was collecting overtime pay during this time period, but they frowned upon it. And also, I know you're probably going to get to it, but while on this subject, on that particular day, this board determined and made a factual finding that Trooper Proctor had turned off his AVL switch. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but he turned off the AVL switch on the cruiser, which I'd be lying if I said I knew with certainty, but it sure sounds like that's probably some type of GPS tracker that's associated with a state-issued cruiser, just so the Massachusetts State Police can just determine where its officers are or its troopers are at a given time. And they commented on the fact that that was improprietous, and there would have been no reason for him to do that. I would go one step further, Brian and Todd, and say, if he's collecting overtime for it, this isn't one of those things where, hey, I'm going to take my cruiser home and just go home and binge Netflix. No, he was collecting pay for continuing on in his evening with Kevin Albert and their dinner and drink. So why would he intentionally turn off the GPS tracker if that is indeed what an AVL switch is? So it's noteworthy that this was listed as a finding. And to me, if I were questioning Trooper Proctor about it, if I ever had an opportunity to, I would say, this is some type of consciousness of malfeasance or wrongdoing. Why would you be doing that if you thought you were up to good? You were up to no good. So we'll get into it.
What's an AVL switch? What would you find out?
Well, let me give you a little context. When I was on the department, I retired in 2011. There was no such thing as that type of equipment on the vehicles. If you can think back, the catalyst for this technology or added equipment was the Turnpike scandal. During the Turnpike scandal, you had troopers that literally, we were talking about misuse of overtime. You had troopers that weren't even getting in their cruiser and going out to do motor vehicle enforcement. And that just whole situation just blew up. So one of the remedies after discovery of all these troopers was to install GPS equipment on all the cruisers. So that's the backstory for that technology.
And isn't it funny? Another story that I've been covering here and following out of Connecticut, and what are things that we've been dealing with? We've been dealing with overtime in that case as well, too. A journalist, Sean Paul Reyes, Long Island Audit YouTube channel, went out and knocked on a trooper's door and said, hey, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions about the jump in your overtime pay, and look what's happened in that case. So it's very interesting. All right, let's not make everybody wait too much longer. We'll pull up the internal affairs report. I'm actually really excited to go through this. Again, I just was able to summarize it, but to actually go through and hear this all the way through, let's get that done. Let me just move my screen here. Of course, it wants to fight. Don't fight me now, damn it. All right. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. I'm going to enlarge it here so we can read along. We're going to have AI read it for us. Again, Todd or Nan, if you'd like to pause, just let me pause. Just say pause and we'll do that. We'll make it happen here. All right, here we go.
3. On March 4th, 2024, Detective Lieutenant John J. Goslin, 2528th, of the Office of Professional Integrity and Accountability, sent a subject notification letter via departmental email to Trooper Proctor. Attached to this notification was a copy of the request for investigation generated by Lieutenant Colonel Connors, Major Leonard G. Coppenrath, 809th, Dis Deputy Division Commander, Detective Lieutenant Brian P. Tully, 3520th, SPDU Norfolk Unit Commander, and Trooper David N. Stewart, 3716th, State Police Association of Massachusetts Representative, were also provided a copy of the subject notification letter. On
Real quick, I just want to pause. Nan, talk about the exhibits, because I noticed that we didn't get the exhibits.
Happy to. So when you sent this to me, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And I was reading through it, I said, okay, as in any typical agency report, they'll list exhibits that are attached and what they are. And in each of these paragraphs, they list a referenced exhibit. I think it goes up to 16. It may go further than that. But nonetheless, I was waiting as I'm reading through it, knowing how many pages it was going to be, saying, wait a minute, there's not going to be exhibits attached. So all of the exhibits are not provided. So I would definitely request of anyone who's made FOIA requests to request the exhibits from this report, this July 29th, 2024 report issued. And most interesting to me out of all the exhibits would be what's going to be referenced later on as Exhibit 16, which is the IA Pro Concise Member History Report for Trooper Proctor. I don't know what that is, but in reading through all of it, and the litigator in me says, I want to see that. I want to see 16. So it is a complete report, but without the exhibits, you're kind of putting together a little bit of a
we're gonna put a supplementary report in to try to get those two. All right, here we go.
March 19th, 2024, an amended subject notification letter was sent to Trooper Proctor. This amended copy correctly documented who authored the request for investigation letter, which was inaccurate in the first copy sent. Major Coppenrath, Detective Lieutenant Tully, and Sergeant Christopher M. Johnson, 3974th, Spam Representative, were also provided a copy of this amended subject notification letter. A copy of the email correspondence with Trooper Proctor, along with the first subject notification letter sent, has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 2. A copy of the email correspondence with Trooper Proctor, along with the amended subject notification letter, has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 3. 4. In addition to the information provided concerning text messages sent by Trooper Proctor, there were concerns raised, as a result of the federal investigation, that Trooper Proctor had personal relationships with witnesses involved in the investigation. An inquiry was conducted by the department to determine if any substantial relationship existed between Trooper Proctor and witnesses related to the investigation. The inquiry showed that while Trooper Proctor had a relationship with some of the witnesses, those relationships were not substantial in nature. The inquiry found that the relationships were consistent with how Trooper Proctor represented them in the federal investigation.
Can I stop you
It was
there,
also
Brian?
consistent with how Trooper...
Sorry, there's actually not many places I would interrupt, but this was one of them. And just so everyone knows, I went through this and I highlighted it, and I had a big highlight here.
Yeah, of course.
So the finding, and these are not the recommendations part of this report, but the finding here that the relationships between Trooper Proctor and fact witnesses in the Karen Reed investigation were found to not be quote unquote substantial. If I may, sirs, and I know it's into the evening, that's absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
They are substantial.
Yeah.
And they also, as you just heard, went further to say that he provided to this inquiring body consistent description of his relationship with those fact witnesses as he had during the Karen Reed trial 1.0. So in that everything was consistent in how he described those relationships. I find the relationships that he had at whatever level with whichever Albert, etc., or his wife and this person, or his sister and that person, I find them all troublesome.
Yeah.
I find them all to be substantial, and that's not confirmation bias, and that's not my own personal bias, he should have recused himself from minute one, as was undermined by this entire process. And he allowed that bias that he exhibited himself to color the entire investigation and to influence the text messaging that you're going to get into in this report. So this was one point where I was like, not substantial in nature. That's a bunch of bullshit. So
And he tried that as well under testimony in the first trial, but it was Jackson pressing him,
yes.
and he had to just come clean with it.
Yeah.
Babysitting, you know, relationships from weddings, and I mean,
yeah, I was thinking about it, Todd, when I was reading this. I couldn't remember exactly, and maybe the chat can clue us in, exactly what Alan asked him, because the question he had been asked, Proctor had been asked at, I guess it was either the grand jury proceeding or a prior proceeding, was, do you have this or no the Alberts? Like, and it was one word or no. And Proctor was kind of diverting from that because he did know them. And by them, you know, I'm sparing the audience by going into the intricacies of that. But Proctor was splitting hairs on who he knew and to what level he knew them. So you're absolutely right, Todd. And I feel that this is not a matter of insignificance here. I feel like they were substantial relationships that unduly influenced the investigation. Ultimately, the result, as of right now, is positive. He was terminated, but I found it was a bit of a gratuitous finding that was incorrect.
Todd, do good troopers that know everybody involved go to the superior and say, hey, I don't think I can take this one. I know too many people involved. How does that process, or what's the words I'm looking for? Integrity, Todd, integrity.
It's informal. You know, if there was a scenario where I had some type of a relationship with someone involved in the investigation, it was, you know, leading down the path of, hey, this is getting, you know, pretty substantial. You could easily go to your supervisor and just say, hey, I can't be the lead on this. I can't, you know, I can't participate, and assign it to someone else.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal to do that, is my point.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Just going to do this really quick, and I'm going to try to save these for the end because I want to try to flow through the show tonight. But Jen, thank you so much. Says $5 says, I'm enjoying you three together. You guys really have a good flow. I appreciate that. Calico wants to know, did you send this to Karen? I have not sent it to anybody. We're literally breaking this right now, and I'm going to be sending it out to some people afterwards. And I'm going to post this up somewhere as well too, probably on X or Facebook, so you guys can have access to it too. All right, let's get back to our read through with our AI buddy. Here we go.
Proctor portrayed them in his testimony in the criminal trial against MS Reed. The inquiry was conducted independently from this personnel investigation and has been memorialized in ASIS, the Massachusetts State Police Case Management System, and can be referenced using case hashtag 2024-DIS4. 5. The criminal trial in the Reed matter began on April 29, 2024, in Norfolk County Superior Court. The trial was live-streamed on multiple venues, including Court TV. Court TV recorded the proceedings and posted the entirety of each day's proceedings on Court TV's YouTube channel. Trooper Proctor testified on June 10, 2024, and June 12, 2024. There was no testimony on June 11, 2024. The videos for each day's testimony were saved and downloaded. In addition, a copy of the transcript of Trooper Proctor's testimony was obtained from the Norfolk Superior Court Clerk's office. After reviewing Trooper Proctor's testimony, I created a summary of his relevant testimony as it pertained to any text message communications, to include timestamps from the video and corresponding page and line locations from the court transcripts. A copy of the video for Commonwealth v. Red. Day 22 has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 4. A copy of the transcript of Trooper Proctor's June 10, 2024 testimony has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 5. A copy of the video for Commonwealth v. Reed Day 23 has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 6. A copy of the transcript of Trooper Proctor's June 12, 2024 testimony has been submitted. With this report as Exhibit 7, a copy of the summary of Trooper Proctor's testimony has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 8. 6. Below is a summary of the relevant testimony given by Trooper Proctor on June 10, 2024 and June 12, 2024 during the Reed trial. All times referenced reflect the time on the court TV video, not the actual time of day. Noted next to the times in parentheses is the corresponding page and line from the court transcript. This summary only pertains to testimony concerning text message communications that Trooper Proctor sent. It should be noted that there are a few instances where the court transcript does not accurately capture what was testified to or was heard in the video. The texts below are what was heard from the video testimony. This is not a summary of any testimony related to the investigation or facts of the case.
So pretty standard stuff so far. I mean, pretty much
Yes.
everything we know. Go ahead, Nan.
The only thing I was going to say to you right now is if you want to skip over this section, you can. It's your show, but it's literally the
Pretty much everything we know.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just the recitation of the salacious and inappropriate text messages. There are no surprises here.
I'm gonna go ahead, and again, I'll post this report later on too. Let me just speed up here.
But the one thing I would point out while you're doing that is I think this was very, very good report writing by the individual who prepared the report. He crossed his T's and dotted his I's. And the reason I would say that is this is a perfect example. He not only went in and reviewed the YouTube court TV streaming of the trial, but he also ordered and read the transcripts from the trial and found disparities between the trial transcript, which is the official transcript of this trial. And if you all recall it, it's the court reporter verbally, like in some type of device, she's not using stenography. She's saying every word in that courtroom, and there were errors. So the individual who authored this report really did his due diligence to get to the meat and potatoes of what was actually said.
Wow. All right, let's go back. I'm going to pick up where 7 is, and it's going to talk about the alcohol consumption. We'll pick it up there. And again, we'll post this later on. So if anybody wants to read through it themselves, they can do that or have the liberty to do whatever they want with it. Here we go.
7. During Trooper Proctor's testimony, he testified that he drank alcohol and then operated his department-issued cruiser. This occurred when he said he went to Sandwich with Canton police officer Kevin Albert to further an investigation on an unresolved case from Canton. He testified that they then stopped for dinner and had a few beers. After being questioned by defense counsel, he acknowledged that he was in his cruiser for these events. Trooper Proctor also acknowledged that this occurred on July 19, 2022. Detective Lieutenant Goslin confirmed that pay station entries show that Trooper Proctor did work his regularly scheduled shift on July 19, 2022, and also worked overtime on July 19, 2022, from 5 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. The note on his overtime entry reflects that he was working on an unresolved case from Canton. This same information is also reflected in the SPDU Norfolk Daily Administrative Journal for July 19, 2022. Detective Lieutenant Goslin was also able to confirm through the automatic vehicle locator for Trooper Proctor's assigned cruiser at the time, Cruiser Run 2239, that Trooper Proctor left his home at 8:28 a.m. and ultimately returned home at 10:54 p.m. These times coincide with the work hours Trooper Proctor submitted as being worked. Multiple attempts were made to contact Kevin Albert for an interview. Those attempts have been unsuccessful. A copy of Trooper Proctor's pay station entry for July 19, 2022, has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 9. A copy of the SPDU Norfolk Dodge for July 19, 2022, has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 10. A copy of the AVL data for Trooper Proctor's cruiser on July 19, 2022, has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 11. 8.
And there's your AVL data
Yeah.
we talked about earlier. So
Yeah.
that's got to be a GPS, like a GPS data. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, you can't hide. All the department knows every single department member with an assigned cruiser. The the equipment is what it is, and it tracks everyone's movement.
Yeah, I think they have stuff like this in like UPS and FedEx trucks and like federal and like postal trucks. I think they have those type of units in there. And you said now it's like mandatory in all cruisers, right, Todd?
So if you're issued a cruiser, it most likely is equipped before you're even handed the keys.
Wow. All right, here we go.
A copy of the AVL data for Trooper Proctor's cruiser on July 19, 2022, has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 11. 8. On July 8, 2024, I sent a subject call, in letter via departmental email to Trooper Proctor. Trooper Proctor was directed to attend an interview at General Headquarters in Framingham on Monday, July 15, 2024, at 10:30 a.m. As Trooper Proctor was transferred to Troop H, I also provided a copy of the subject call-in letter to Major Timothy J. Curtin, 2508th, Troop H Commander, Captain Robert Keeney, 2876th, Troop H Executive Officer, and Sergeant Johnson. A copy of my email correspondence with Trooper Proctor, along with the subject call-in letter I sent, has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 12. 9. At the request of Trooper Proctor's attorney, Daniel Moynihan, his interview was rescheduled to Friday, July 19, 2024. At 10:30 a.m. on July 12, 2024, I sent a subject call-in letter via departmental email to Trooper Proctor. He was advised that the interview had been rescheduled, and he was directed to attend an interview at General Headquarters in Framingham on Friday, July 19, 2024, at 10:30 a.m. I also provided a copy of this subject call in letter to Major Curtin, Captain Keeney, and Sergeant Johnson. A copy of my email correspondence with Trooper Proctor, along with the subject call-in letter I sent, has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 13. 10. On July 19, 2024, I, along with Detective Lieutenant Jeremy Sweeney, #30186, interviewed Trooper Proctor at General Headquarters. Trooper Proctor was accompanied by Sergeant Johnson, Attorney Moynihan, and Attorney Michael DiStefano.
Todd, why would he have a sergeant there? Is that kind of his? Do you have reps or support figures or
Union rep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I figured there. Yeah.
Trooper Proctor was provided with a copy of the Office of Professional Integrity and Accountability Administrative Rights form prior to the interview, which he reviewed and signed. This interview was digitally recorded with the consent of all persons present and later transcribed. A copy of Trooper Proctor's signed administrative rights form has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 14. A copy of Trooper Proctor's interview transcript has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 15. 11. In summary, Trooper Proctor stated the following. He was assigned as the primary investigator for the death of John O'Keefe. As a result of this investigation,
Go ahead, Todd.
In that first sentence in 11, as it states, this is what Trooper Proctor testified. Second trial, Brennan tried to bury Proctor's involvement. And so again, obviously tonight we're focusing on this IA investigation on Proctor, but that's also reflective of Brennan's shenanigans in not being a fact finder and not bringing forth the truth.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because Brennan, he knew exactly what he was doing. This is a classic example of look the other way. He wanted to put up just part of the story, as we all know, didn't want all the witnesses up there. He didn't have to have vomit of every single witness on the stand like Lally did, but he only showed this trial 2.0 jury a very, very curated portion of what really happened. And it ties with, right. And it ties with what we're seeing now in the IA report.
Yeah.
And you had Yuri Buchanan fall right in line with that strategy.
Yeah.
And others, but as a supervisor.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to this. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Criminal charges were filed against Karen Reed, He told investigators that prior to this investigation, he had never met Karen Reed or John O'Keefe. During the subsequent criminal trial, Trooper Proctor testified about a series of text messages that he sent related to the investigation. He acknowledged to investigators that all the text messages to which he testified were text messages that he did in fact send. Trooper Proctor stated that he sent multiple text messages in a group chat to his childhood friends, none of whom are law enforcement officers. One message contained the name of the decedent, John O'Keefe. When he texted this friend group that he saw the decedent's body in the hospital and it was banged up, Trooper Proctor told investigators that he was referring to Mr. O'Keefe having injuries, but that he never specified what those injuries were. Trooper Proctor did acknowledge that he also texted the friend group that Mr. O'Keefe was not beat up from a fight, but was hit by Ms. Reed's vehicle. In reference to the intentional or not, Trooper Proctor clarified that he was referring to whether Ms. Reed striking Mr. O'Keefe was intentional. In reference to the text message he sent to the friend group saying, they arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left. Trooper Proctor confirmed that he was referring to John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, and it was only his opinion that they had an argument. He also confirmed to investigators that he was referring to the house where Mr. O'Keefe's body was eventually found, although he never provided the actual address. Trooper Proctor explained that the text he sent about serious charges being brought on the girl was his opinion that Ms. Reed would face criminal charges based on her actions. He clarified that he is not involved in determining what, if any, charges are brought against an individual, and this text only expressed his opinion.
How would you know?
Yeah.
This is go back to, how would you know what her actions were? You didn't even do any investigating, man. In 16 hours, you had all this plan that, it's like the easy way out. We're just going to blame it on her, and then we'll just shape the narrative around and try to fabricate all this evidence to point towards her to save everybody else's ass inside the house. It literally says nothing in here about going and investigating. Like, hey, maybe there's some suspicion here, maybe I want to talk to the homeowner. Maybe I want to figure out why they didn't come outside.
So Brian, this is where, as a fact finder, you don't have an opinion. You don't have an opinion.
All the evidence.
You follow the facts. You've heard me say this 1,000 times if I've said it once. Innocent people get more innocent and the guilty get more guilty. Follow the facts. Bring the information forward. Even if you like someone for the crime and you go down that path and you come up empty, you got to go back to you got to go back to zero. You got to back up and readjust and recalibrate your investigation because you basically landed on a dead lead. So you start right back from the beginning.
And this is why I love listening to Todd and his insight and experience, because it helps ground me when I try to put myself in the position of an investigating trooper. And I say, they're supposed to explore all of the avenues, not reach their conclusions so soon. They are supposed to explore the avenues so they can not only mitigate against like their own personal biases, but also to say we already looked down that path and we pursued that subject or possible avenue of investigation, and we determined it was not worth pursuing any longer. That way, you kind of, through process of elimination, get to the more guiltier suspect of your investigation. So I love Todd's insight here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to tell everybody, I was going to do this and play it in Snoop Dogg's voice, because that is an option, but I didn't want to get nailed for copyright or something like that. The only reason I am doing this, and I'm going to tell everybody, I've been very transparent about this. I struggle with a mild form of dyslexia. If I was to read this document out, we would be here for probably 5 hours, because my mind would be skipping all over the place. So it is what it is. I know that everybody in the chat is enjoying it. And again, I'm going to post this up later. If you don't want to hear this and you want to go through it yourself, by all means. But we're going to do it this way tonight.
I just want to let you know, Brian, I find it incredibly helpful to me that
it's a little easier to absorb.
To me, when you sent this to me, I said, I wish there was a way I could have this read to me. So, you accommodate your need, and I'm going to benefit from it.
Listen, it is what it is. We're going to get through the document. We're going to opine on it. It just is what it is.
Love it.
And look at everybody said I prefer it like this, so it's fine. You know, like I'd love to do it, but I'm not going to read out 15 pages and be skipping out all night. I don't want to keep these people here for 6 hours. All right, here we go.
I
12.
can't wait
What's
to
that?
hear. I can't wait to hear AI use the word whack job, you know what,
Well,
and
we skipped through
nutbag.
it. We skipped through. We could try to go back after.
Anyway.
All right. Oh, actually, no, it's coming up.
It
In
is
reference
coming.
to the text containing whack job cunt and
Oh,
weird Fall River accent, Trooper Proctor acknowledged that he was referring to
All right,
MS Reed.
Go back.
12. In reference to the text containing whack job cunt and
There we
weird
go.
Fall River accent, Trooper Proctor acknowledged that he was referring to MS Reed. Trooper Proctor recognized that this commentary was juvenile and unprofessional language.
And I'll say it probably would have been funnier in Snoop Dogg's voice, right?
I agree.
All right. All right, here we go.
Went on to say that after working death investigations for an extended period of time, you were sometimes exposed to the worst of the worst and see certain horrific things that stay with you.
Yeah.
As part of a coping mechanism to deal with these exposures, a gallows humor is developed. Trooper Proctor believed that a normal person would not strike someone and leave them lying in the snow and attributed his feelings, partly on gallows humor, as the reason for calling her whack job cunt. He acknowledged that while these were personal feelings, he should have used professional language. Trooper Proctor explained that when he referred to MS Reed as nutbag, he was referring to MS Reed's appearance. He went on to say that among his friend group, the term nutbag has a meaning of not bad. In reference to this text thread, Trooper Proctor used this term not as a reference to her mental state, but as referring to her physical appearance as not bad, as it relates to Trooper Proctor's text messages to this friend group about MS Reed having a leaky balloon knot and leaks poo. Trooper Proctor explained that while MS Reed was being processed at the state police barracks, he learned of MS Reed's medical issues. He stated that the text messages he sent on this topic were unprofessional, and he should not have sent them. He also sent messages to this friend group that 0 chances she skated and she's fucked. Trooper Proctor expressed that these 2 comments were his opinions and were in reference to his belief that the evidence in the case supported the fact that Miss Reid struck Mr. O'Keefe and that she would be charged appropriately.
He's lying.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he's just trying to cover his ass at this point.
This is classic signs of someone who was prepared by an attorney
Yeah.
to give the
Union
best
rep.
but I'm sure there's the union rep or personal counsel giving him guidance on how best to explain away really bad behavior. I noticed it during trial 1.0. I was like, ugh, all right. But as I'm listening and as I was reading this report, Brian and Todd, I keep saying to myself, you can't put lipstick on a pig. I mean, you just can't. And trust me, I'm a pro at lipstick. So you cannot put lipstick on this. And when you listen to the way that Proctor tries to explain away this bad behavior, this bad policing, there's nothing you can say to excuse it.
But he's painting a picture of bias.
Yes. It's
All
there.
the way through that thread, he's painting the picture of his biasness.
Yeah.
He's already made up his mind.
So the more he explains that, oh, this is what this means in my friend community, or I really meant it this way, and you're going to see it in paragraphs hereafter, how he explains away the wording that he gives. All it's doing is just refocusing on the bias. So, and that is consistent with what ultimately was the determination made as to his employment.
Yeah, I like what Linda's saying here. Excuses. If he's so upset and emotional, he shouldn't be a cop.
That's right,
Shouldn't be
Linda.
a cop. You're trained for this. And then there's outlets to get help if you're having issues with this, with these type of subjects. I just going to stop really quick for an advertisement from Star Drive-In. We'll be back in about a minute. Need a break from modern life? We'll travel back in time to the Star Drive-In. That's East Taunton's iconic retro hotspot. Fun for the whole family. Enjoy great food, entertainment, and timeless memories. They got free community events all season long, including movies under the stars, live music and tailgating, Jeep meets classic car shows and bike nights. While you're there, indulge in over 100 flavors of soft serve, 80 flavors of Bliss and Giffords hard ice cream, plus a rotating selection of 10 flavors of Dole Whip. The Star Drive-In is not your average fast food place. Everything is made fresh to order using quality ingredients. Fresh seafood is delivered daily in pizza dough made twice a day for maximum freshness. I love their pizza. The Star Drive-In, where food, fun, and family memories never go out of style. They're conveniently located at 205 Myrick Street in East Taunton. That's exit 16 off Route 140. Make sure to visit their website or follow them on Facebook for their latest menus and upcoming events. And hey, while you're there, say hi to Erica and her team. And if you mention LTL at the register, you'll receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's the Star Drive-In in East Taunton. It's the most iconic retro hotspot. Yes, the Star Drive-In. We love Erica. We love the Star. I was just out there on Saturday. I went down. I said, I need a hot dog and some fries. I hung out, and the food's always amazing. So when you're down there at the Star Drive-In, please mention LTL at the window and you'll get 10% off. And I'm going to tell you, listen, you never know when I'm going to pop up there. I've been popping up there a lot lately. And if you're in line and you're in back of me, I'm going to buy you lunch. So if you see me there and you're the next person behind me, I'm going to buy you lunch or dinner. Lauren and I were just out the other night, and I treated someone to a nice dinner at the Star. So
that's so nice.
Maybe you'll see me out there. All right, let's get back to Mr. AI. This is fun. It's fun. Listen, it's a horrible subject matter. We know the ultimate outcome, but listen, I wish we could have played Snoop Dogg tonight, but I didn't want to get nailed for copyright. All right, here we go.
13. In reference to text messages that Trooper Proctor sent to his sister, who is not a law enforcement officer, he acknowledged that he told her about a frozen to death in Canton, but never disclosed the address to her. Trooper Proctor did acknowledge that at the time he told his sister that he interviewed Jen MC Cabe. Miss MC Cabe was a witness in the homicide investigation.
MC Cabe.
He also sent a text to his sister that said, "Don't say a word to anyone." Trooper Proctor told investigators that Canton had not had a homicide in 20 to 30 years, and the news was spreading quick. He said that the intent behind this text was to keep his sister from spreading info if someone reached out to her. Trooper Proctor told investigators that he did not believe he was sharing information that he should not share.
Why would you be telling your sister that and then telling her, hey, don't say anything about this? He chums it up with his sister a lot. Seems to chum.
Yeah, you know, by saying don't say anything to anyone, you shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, and as you've always said, Brian, since this has come to light, if he's doing it on this case, he's done it on other cases.
He's got a big mouth.
Yes.
He's got a big mouth, Todd. He can't keep his mouth shut. He just wants to talk about all this stuff, shape his narrative in all these cases. And that's what he's done. You know, that's Michael Proctor.
Yeah.
I think it's that frat boy mentality. You know, this is something, and I've said this a million times before. This is not something that is like acquired. This is in your DNA. This is who you are. You are this person, and it just starts to come out as your life goes on. You know, you probably have known this stuff at a very early age, but these traits, they tend to come out as you get older and you kind of settle in your career. This is who Michael Proctor is, you know? All right, here we go.
Brian, I would add that it's almost braggadocious amongst his friends, not so much his sister, but amongst his friends. You know, he's the cool kid that ended up with a really cool job and does really cool things. And,
yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, he's puffing smoke up his own rear end.
Exactly. All right, here we go.
In a subsequent text message to his sister, Trooper Proctor told her that Julie and Chris were with the Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Red prior to Mr. O'Keefe's death. He also told his sister that he would need to interview them. At the time that Trooper Proctor told his sister this information, he acknowledged that Julie and Chris were potential witnesses. In reference to the text exchange he had with his sister about him receiving a gift, Trooper Proctor told investigators that his response, "Get Elizabeth one," was a joking response, as he was just acknowledging to his sister that his wife deserved recognition for being home alone with their children. He stated that neither he nor his wife ever received or asked for a gift. Trooper Proctor stated that he never had any belief that he would ever receive a gift and never pursued receiving a gift. In a later text exchange that Trooper Proctor had with his sister, Trooper Proctor sent, "Hopefully she kills herself," Trooper Proctor described this comment as a poor figure of speech. He stated that he never had any intention or want for MS Reed to kill herself.
Then why would you say it in the first place?
I
Why would you have that
wholeheartedly
thought?
agree.
Why would you have that thought? And why would you be putting that out in the ether and telling people this? If you didn't really mean to say it, then why did you say it?
State of mind.
Yeah.
State of mind.
I agree, and I had highlighted this section of this report because when I see things, and he said it during the trial about poor figure of speech, it was regrettable language. These are lawyer buzzwords. You know what I mean? So he's sticking to a script, but at the same time burying himself. So his credibility gets hampered when he tries to explain away really inappropriate conduct. And you're going to see it shortly hereafter in the recommendations and findings part
Here
of
we go.
Trooper Proctor then told investigators about a text he sent his wife that said, "We're going to lock this whack job up." Trooper Proctor explained this text was sent after the grand jury had voted to indict MS Reed. Trooper Proctor acknowledged that this text was sent before MS Reed was arrested. 14. In a text message to other department members stating, "If you like women who shit themselves," Trooper Proctor acknowledged this message was also in reference to MS Reed's medical conditions. In a separate text thread with fellow department members, including 2 of his supervisors, in response to a photograph of MS Reed's attorney,
MS Reed.
Trooper Proctor sent a text about going through his retarded client's phone. Trooper Proctor described this comment as a poor joke that used regrettable language, relative to a subsequent text message in which...
What you gonna say, Nan?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, see, here it is. This is his narrative. Regrettable language.
I'm so sorry.
Poor judgment, poor language, poor phrase of art or, terminology. It's bad.
Yeah.
This is really bad. And even they're seeing through it.
And it's even going to get worse now because he's going to be asked, he's going to say, "Oh, there's no nude so far." So what are you thumbing around on someone's phone looking for that? And it just goes back to this too, is that is his narrative when he gets someone's phone. This is the stuff that he looks through. And it's pretty sick that someone's doing an investigation and the first thing that's on their mind is to start looking through their phone and trying to access private photos and videos. And it's funny because I just watched Aiden's intake video when he was arrested out when he was at his dropping his kids off to school, and I just rewatched some of that. And they ask him like, "Oh, we have your phone, we're going to go through your phone." He's like, "I really rather not. I mean, there's private stuff on there that I don't want people to see and go through." And he's like, "Oh, well, now you're going to see it." I mean, that's his business. I mean, our phones are our lives, and to know that someone has your phone and the things that they're going through and looking at your private life. I mean, I don't know. It's disparaging. It's disgusting. And I don't think I have the words.
Brian, what jumps out at me is the pattern to the friend group, to the sister, maybe not the misogynistic stuff to his sister and his wife, but then to his supervisors and his other colleagues in the unit. There's just that pattern of inappropriate messaging and inappropriate content in varying degrees, depending on who the recipient is, but the pattern is the same all the way across.
Yeah, and I mean, the scary thing about it too is you look at this. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, we know that he's connected to the Brian Walsh case. He probably saw access or had access to Brian Walsh's phone. We can say that Brian Walsh's wife, Anna, was a very attractive woman. Was he going through that phone and looking to see if he could find photos there? I mean, it's pretty scary. It's disgusting that, just going back to my first original comment is this is the stuff that he initially just starts looking for. So I don't know. I don't get it. It's not professional by any standard.
By a long shot.
Yeah. Here we go.
Trooper Proctor texted, "No nudes so far." He stated that this text was sent as he was searching MS Reed's phone for evidence related to the crime.
Yeah, sure.
He said he was mostly interested in the location data from the phone and text message communication, and that his unit had been waiting for some time to be able to access MS Reed's phone. As a result, Trooper Proctor felt the need to update his CO workers as to the status of the search. Regarding the nudes comment, Trooper Proctor said that, in his experience, it is common to come across personal information, to include nude photographs, when searching a cell phone. As it relates to this instance, Trooper Proctor said the nudes comment was an inappropriate joke and a poor update. Trooper Proctor stated that he never searched for any photographs of MS Reed or any other individual involved with this investigation. He reiterated that his focus was on location data and text message communications. Trooper Proctor said that while he was searching through MS Reed's text messages, he came across communication between MS Reed and her attorney and subsequently stopped the search of the phone altogether. Trooper Proctor stated that he was eventually verbally counseled by Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully about the content of these messages. 15. Trooper Proctor then spoke to investigators about events that occurred on July 19, 2022, while he was working an unresolved case with Canton police officer Kevin Albert. Trooper Proctor stated that he picked Kevin Albert up, and they both traveled to Sandwich to interview witnesses related to the unresolved case. Trooper Proctor stated that he drove in his department-issued cruiser. His cruiser is equipped with an AVL switch, which he deactivated for the day.
There you go.
Trooper Proctor went on to say that he is authorized to deactivate his AVL when his work assignment involves work pursuant to his investigative duties for the Norfolk County DA's office.
Can you pause there?
While
just
Trooper
for-
Proctor could not remember the time they arrived.
Go ahead, Nan.
Just to comment here, I'd be interested to know if that indeed is true. If he would have been authorized to turn off his AVL switch on his state-issued cruiser when he was in the course of official business for the Norfolk County DA's office. I call bullshit. I don't know how to find out that answer, but I want to know it. So
A lot of people in the chat are saying, guess where Higgy's house is? Down in Sandwich.
oh,
So were they down there hanging out with Higgy?
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. It just seems a little convenient that on a night where he's collecting overtime pay and he's out having drinks and dinner with an Albert, no less, and all of those factors align, and then he turns off the AVL switch. I don't find that conduct becoming of a state trooper.
A little slim shady.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
in Sandwich, he estimated that he picked Kevin Albert up in Canton at approximately 5 p.m. and drove directly to Sandwich. He did not remember if there were traffic delays, but estimated that it took them approximately 1.5 to 2 hours. When they arrived in Sandwich, they interviewed a witness and attempted to locate another witness. Trooper Proctor said that he and Kevin Albert then stopped at a restaurant in Sandwich and had dinner. Trooper Proctor stated that he did have approximately 1 to 2 beers with dinner. He stated that both he and Kevin Albert secured their firearms inside locked containers in his cruiser. After they finished dinner, Trooper Proctor stated that he then drove Kevin Albert home to Canton, dropping him off at approximately 10:45 p.m. Trooper Proctor could not recall the time he left the restaurant. He also could not recall how long it took them to return to Canton that night, but estimated, based on past experiences, that the drive from Sandwich to Canton takes approximately 1.5 hours. Trooper Proctor stated that he was not intoxicated and does not believe Kevin Albert was intoxicated. Trooper Proctor acknowledged that he did find Kevin Albert's badge in his cruiser the next day, but had no knowledge of what happened to Kevin Albert's firearm. 16. Trooper Proctor was asked if any information that did not come out at the trial exists or existed on his personal cell phone that is relevant to this investigation or could be viewed as damaging to him or the department. Trooper Proctor stated he does not believe there is any information that could be viewed as damaging to him or the department, and he also does not believe there is any information that can be viewed as derogatory, defamatory, or offensive. Trooper Proctor was also asked if any information exists or existed from any other source, including his work cell. phone that is relevant to this investigation or could be viewed as damaging to him or the department. Trooper Proctor stated he does not believe there is any information from any source that could be viewed as damaging to him or the department and does not believe there is any information from any source that can be viewed as derogatory, defamatory, or offensive. In relation to his work cell phone, Trooper Proctor acknowledged that this phone has an associated iCloud account, but he has no memory of ever accessing it and does not know what the password is for the iCloud. He did
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Because guess what? Guess what we just found out a couple of days ago that dropped from email and iCloud accounts. 4,100 emails of a personal account, Michael Morrissey. And we're finding out all of the emails that were sent in that chain. So I call bullshit on that one. Nan said bullshit as well, too.
Yeah. I mean, come on now. And also, as far as the iCloud is concerned, I mean, he's giving answers here to, I guess he's being questioned in person about this, but the answers he's giving just make it sound more and more like he's lying. Like, I would have rather him said, yeah, I can't remember my password, but I can get it to you. Like that happens many times when I'm questioning witnesses in depositions, which is sworn testimony out of court. I'll say, what is this? Or explain that to me. And honest and earnest deponents will say, I don't remember that, but I will get it to you. And then I follow up with a request. So he's hiding a bunch of stuff here.
What do you think, Todd? BS?
Yes. You guys both called it out. You know, it's got feathers and it's quacking.
I love that. All right, here we go.
Did say that the current work cell phone that he has is his second work cell phone and that he was issued it approximately 1 to 2 years ago. Trooper Proctor went on to express to investigators how the trial and associated publicity has affected his home and family life. He described repeated harassing communications where he has received death threats and people have wished harm would come to him and his family members, to include his children, among other things. 17. A copy of the most recent IA Pro Concise Member History Report for Trooper Proctor has been submitted with this report as Exhibit 6.
Ryan, can you stop?
Yep.
That last part about, I don't wish harassment on anybody,
No.
regardless of where people are in this. But how do you land on the victim card as a way to defend yourself from all of this misconduct? So, he to Nan's point earlier, he went through all the coaching and regurgitated all the coaching aspects. And then now he's going to conclude with, well, I'm a victim in this as well. I'm not buying it.
And we heard that, if you both recall, as a result of the Five Stones audit of the Canton PD. I think that's the name of the company, where they actually spent a substantial period of time inquiring about the mental well-being of the officers of the Canton Police Department. I am not discounting the importance of mental health, but when there's improprieties, lack of exhibiting of due diligence in performing official functions for which they're paid state taxpayer dollars, then I don't really care about their mental health right now, or how much victimization someone like former disgraced Trooper Proctor feels, and how everything is, woe is me, this is my poor family. Look at what we just went through as read by the AI buddy. Like, this is the story. He made this a story. It's completely improper. It's official misconduct in the scope of his official capacity, and I dare say in his personal capacity. So I would mention to you both, when a federal 1983 civil rights action comes, Proctor is going to get sued not only in the capacity as a former trooper, but in his personal capacity as well. So I hope he had insurance during that time period.
Yeah, and we just saw this, and I just passed. Todd, I sent you the internal affairs report of Brian Fahey, correct? Former Connecticut State Trooper Brian Fahey. I think I sent that over to you, and we've seen the same tactic as well, the victim card in that. And if anybody hasn't got caught up on that case, basically a Connecticut State Trooper came out, confronted a journalist that asked questions, and literally spit in his face and his mouth, and had his firearm at his side, and basically chest bumped this journalist, Sean Paul Reyes, Long Island Audit, off his property. I have tons. I've been covering that story. If you haven't seen it, you can go back and check out the content. And I do want to eventually go over that internal affairs report as well too. But we've seen that in that report too, is this victim card, like, hey, you know, I can do all these wrong things. I mean, literally, it's spit in someone's face and their mouth. It's the most disgusting, vile thing that you can ever do to someone. But all of a sudden, the former trooper now is the victim. I don't get it. I just don't. Admit your fault, admit your wrongs, say I'm wrong. Listen, what do we see in America and in the world? The biggest thing is admitting fault. It's the redemption story. Everybody loves it. The redemption story. Oh, I did so wrong. I apologize. And we've seen this with literally, and it's disgusting. Athletes, I've seen this, they have literally beat their wives on camera, and they get a pass because they come out and they go, oh, I'm so sorry. And he's so sorry about it. He's in treatment and all that. I mean, just something here. But this whole, like, I'm the victim. Listen, save it. You know, it doesn't hold water.
Same thing happened with the, Jen McCabe and Allie McCabe. I mean, they spent time, and Allie wasn't in trial 2.0, but in trial 1.0, the both of them, and thereafter in 2.0, McCabe. It was the harassment. They're
writing about us to talk. Yeah, it's a pretty big story. We're talking and writing about you. Yeah, there's things that you could have done a lot better, during that night. Yeah.
Don't look at this. Look over there.
How about not Google how long to die in the cold at 2:27 a.m.? Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah. How about that? All right, here we go. AI buddy.
16. Conclusion. 18. On March 4th, 2024, I was assigned to investigate Trooper Proctor's actions in a criminal investigation. This investigation was initiated after a personnel investigation was requested by Lieutenant Colonel Brian P. Connors, 2145th Division of Investigative Services Commander. 19. On January 29, 2022, SPDU Norfolk initiated an investigation into the death of John O'Keefe. As a result of the investigation, Karen Redd was charged in connection with the death of Mr. O'Keefe. Trooper Proctor, who was assigned to SPDU Norfolk at that time, was assigned as the primary investigator of that investigation. It was later learned that the U.S. Attorney's Office was conducting its own investigation that involved Trooper Proctor. As part of the federal investigation, the contents of Trooper Proctor's personal cell phone were obtained. In March of 2024, the department was advised that derogatory and defamatory text messages sent by Trooper Proctor about MS Reed were discovered. This personnel investigation was a result of the department becoming aware of these text messages. 20. The department was not provided with any documentation or records containing the content of the text messages in March 2024. The department learned the exact content of the text messages when Trooper Proctor testified under oath in the trial on June 10, 2024 and June 12, 2024. 21.
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold the phone here. Let's read this again. I'm going to read it. Okay. So I'm going to read it. Number 20, the department was not provided any documentation or records containing the content of the text messages in March 2024. The department learned the exact content of the text messages when Trooper Proctor testified under oath in the trial on June 10th and June 12th. Wow. What? This is the first time that they had heard of the entire content? Is that what I'm reading here?
Yep.
Looks like.
Yep. I mean, talk about not being forthcoming. He had the text messages. He could have provided them. And also, that could be held against him, the fact that they had to go digging themselves. So
all the time.
Yeah, it's bad.
This is a no surprise rule. You don't want your superiors getting surprises.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was reading that right. I guess I did. Here we go.
Trooper Proctor testified that he sent text messages to friends whom he described as people he grew up with and who lived in different parts of the country. Trooper Proctor sent multiple text messages to this friend group that contained sensitive information about the active homicide investigation. He also sent text messages to this friend group that contained inappropriate comments about MS Reed's medical conditions, as well as other derogatory and defamatory statements about MS Reed. These texts included the name of the victim, the manner in which the victim died, information about MS Reed, and information related to the investigation and what police actions would be taken. I'm
going to pause here real quick. I just want to answer this. So Jody's raising this question. He said, I call BS on that too. The feds didn't notify MSP or the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth and defense had the texts. What do you think about that?
I tend to think that there should have been communications between the feds and at least some of the superiors that, hey, here's a heads up, one of your troopers is part of an investigation. I highly doubt that they would have kept that away from the department.
Are they shielding it, you think?
I don't know. I don't, it's possible, with all that we've seen in this case, but I'm suspicious that someone in the senior ranks of the MSP was not given notice that a member of the department was involved in a federal investigation.
Yeah, I agree. All right, here we go.
Arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left. Yeah, but there will be some serious charges brought on the girl. 0 chance she skated. She's fucked. Some of these texts were sent on the same day that SPDU Norfolk initiated their investigation of the death. As the investigation was in its early stages at this point, the information shared in these text messages had not been released to the public at the time Trooper Proctor sent the text messages. Regarding the information about the investigation that he texted, Trooper Proctor told investigators that he did not provide specifics besides the name of the decedent. While he may not have provided other specific case information to this friend group, he still provided information, including the cause of Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, that had not been released publicly. The comment Trooper Proctor sent about MS Reed being a whack job cunt is an inappropriate and derogatory comment that shows Trooper Proctor had a personal dislike of MS Reed. Trooper Proctor testified that his comments were partially due to his emotions getting the best of him. Police officers have to act impartially and not based on emotion. However, police officers still experience emotions based on what they are exposed to. While this is understood, it is also understood that the emotions a police officer may feel about an individual are kept in check, and their actions are based on reason and fact. There is no evidence to show that Trooper Proctor's personal feelings influence the actual evidence of the case.
What? What?
Isn't it fun? Like this, I love your just spontaneous reaction to hearing this. It's unbelievable.
Todd is sick. Todd's sick. I can tell. He's just very disappointed.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
It's bad, and please, no one mistake the fact that I'm having some fun listening to this. I'm looking at this through the lens of the reckoning that I've been talking about for some months now, that all of this was going to kind of come back to bite some key individuals right in the rear end. So while it is a dark subject matter, and I would never want to have been in Karen's shoes, I will find a little bit of joy in the fact that he is getting karma to the extreme right now.
100%. 100%. All right, here we go.
But the language used to describe MS Reed is offensive and created the appearance that he was not impartial. Trooper Proctor's comments about MS Reed having a weird Fall River accent, though, no ass are inappropriate as they are a commentary on MS Reed's appearance and mannerisms. Again, these comments are offensive and created the appearance that he was not impartial.
What?
Trooper Proctor's comments, she's got a leaky balloon knot and leaks poo, are commentary on MS Reed's medical conditions. In his interview with investigators, Trooper Proctor acknowledged that the comments were unprofessional and regrettable. Not only are these comments offensive and unprofessional, but they are also medical issues that he disclosed to a group of people who were not privy to them. 22. Trooper Proctor also testified that he sent text messages to his sister that contained sensitive information about the active homicide investigation. On the same day that SPDU Norfolk initiated their investigation of the death, Trooper Proctor sent text messages to his sister that included elements of the death scene and information about potential witnesses. Trooper Proctor also sent his sister a text message stating, "Don't say a word to anyone." This suggests that Trooper Proctor knew that he should not be providing this information to her. 23. On February 1st, 2022, Trooper Proctor received a text message from his sister that her friend, who is also a potential witness in the investigation, wanted to get Trooper Proctor a thank you gift.
Yeah.
Trooper Proctor responded, "Get Elizabeth one." Trooper Proctor later testified that Elizabeth is his wife. He clarified, through testimony, that neither he nor his wife ever asked for or received a gift. Trooper Proctor further clarified that when he sent that text message, he was referring to the fact that he had been working late hours recently, and his wife had been home with their children, and she was the one that deserved thanks. There has been nothing learned through this investigation that suggests Trooper Proctor, his wife, his sister, or the potential witness made any request or follow-up to getting or receiving a gift.
Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit. I'm going to call bullshit there too.
Just say I can't do it. It's department rules. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
The fact
Pretty
that he
simple.
uttered the words, the fact that he said, "Get Elizabeth one," for whatever reason, whether it was he couldn't receive it himself, but he wanted to reward his wife for staying home with the kids. I mean, seriously, that's what you signed up for the minute you became a state trooper and you get married or you are married and you decide to procreate. Your spouse at some point is going to be home with your children while you're working, and vice versa. So the fact that he said the words, but yet didn't have a real-time present intention to receive a gift, and therefore did not indeed thereafter receive said gift, is a bunch of malarkey. It's just parsing words, splitting hairs. It's of no consequence.
Yeah.
So this is yet another example of why he could say what he wants and he makes himself look worse.
I'll add, Brian, in the end, in your career, you get lots of opportunity to say no.
Yeah. I say it all the time, Todd.
Yeah. People try to influence you, and it's usually with some type of, compensation to some degree or another, or in the form of a gift. The State Ethics Commission is very, very clear about state employees receiving gifts.
Yep.
It's a no-no.
Yeah, they've done this before. I mean, they've done this before. All right, here we go.
There has also been nothing learned through this investigation that suggests Trooper Proctor or his wife ever had communication with the potential witness about a gift. While his text message response to his sister created the appearance that he was willing to take a gift in exchange for his services, it is reasonable to believe that this response was not an actual request to get his wife a gift. A clear refusal of the gift would remove all doubt. However, given that Trooper Proctor testified that he was referring to the fact that his wife deserved credit for being home alone because he had been working late and a lack of any follow-up to receiving a gift, it is reasonable to believe that his response was not an actual request for a gift. Additionally, there has been no allegation that Trooper Proctor's testimony was untruthful. Trooper Proctor was forthright with other testimony that he reasonably would have known exposed him to possible disciplinary action. There is no reason to believe that he would be truthful about other potentially damaging information and then be untruthful about this piece of information. Furthermore, in his interview with investigators, Trooper Proctor stated that he never believed that was a genuine offer of a gift. His response about getting a gift for his wife was made in jest. He told investigators that he never had the belief, the intent, or made any action to request or receive a gift. I find Trooper Proctor's reasoning for his response to the gift text reasonable in the context of the conversation. It is reasonable to believe that in a text conversation with a family member, not every message sent should be taken in the literal sense.
Ugh.
The lack of any evidence of a follow-up to the gift further supports that Trooper Proctor never believed this offer to be a genuine offer. 24. In a different text exchange with his sister, Trooper Proctor testified that on February 4th, 2022, he sent a text message to her. Hopefully she kills herself.
So he says all these awful disparaging things about Karen Reed, but that gift thing, that doesn't mean anything. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, we're reading a text message that he sent. He said, hopefully she kills herself, but that gift thing, there's nothing there. I mean, how do you separate the two?
He's so loose with his words and loose in his mindset. It's just eventually something's going to catch up. I'll give the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so the gift comment was in jest, right? But it's the same mindset over and over again. This just lack of discipline about his professionalism. It's just astounding.
Yeah.
I need a new funny T-shirt that says "Former disgraced Trooper Proctor is loose." I like that, Todd. He's just loose.
All right, here we go.
Trooper Proctor clarified in his testimony that he was referring to MS Reed and that this statement was just a figure of speech. In his interview with investigators, Trooper Proctor reiterated that this was a figure of speech and a poor choice of words. He stated that he never had any intention or want for MS Reed to kill herself. Regardless of whether Trooper Proctor actually wanted MS Reed to kill herself, however, this text is unprofessional and demonstrated that Trooper Proctor had no regard for MS Reed. This text contributed to the appearance that Trooper Proctor was not impartial and harbored negative feelings towards MS Reed. 25. Trooper Proctor also testified that he sent a text message to his wife that contained sensitive information about the active homicide investigation. After a grand jury had voted to indict Ms. Reed on charges related to the death of Mr. O'Keefe, Trooper Proctor testified that he sent the following text message to his wife: "We're gonna lock this whack job up." This text message was sent before Ms. Reed was arrested and before the charges against her were released publicly. 26. In a text group consisting of co-workers.
What's that?
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 25 that AI Buddy just read, and I was getting to the end of reading it before your show, and this one matters to me.
Go ahead.
Trooper Proctor testified he sent the text message to his wife that contained the sensitive information about the homicide investigation. After the grand jury had voted to indict Ms. Reed on charges related to the death of O'Keefe, Proctor testified that he sent the following text message to his wife: "We're going to lock this whack job up." This message was sent before Ms. Reed was arrested.
Yeah.
And before the charges against her were released publicly. I got to get my highlighter back out.
That's a good point.
That obviously that's in line with what we've been speaking about in terms of the bias and this loose approach that Proctor has towards doing his official duties. But the timing of that is notable. You have the lead investigator, which, just for what it's worth, this report on page 1, so we all note it says that he was the, quote, primary investigator. I know there was some splitting of hairs as to, was he the lead investigator? Was he the case agent? Even this report calls him the primary investigator. So you have the primary investigator commenting in a text message to his wife before Ms. Reed was arrested and before the charges were released publicly, saying, "We're going to lock her up." And this is a guy who's appealing the decision to terminate him. This is a guy who thinks he should be getting his job back. And this is a guy who's I dare say is saying, "I want discovery so I can satisfy my own curiosity to see if other troopers were treated similarly, but given, who had similar conduct, but were given less stringent consequences to them." That's ridiculous. Like, I hope you're watching this, Porky Proctor. This is ridiculous what you've done here. So that was, sorry to interrupt, but that was notable to me, the timing.
Yeah, and Nancy, your point about the appeal, the Civil Service Commission is going to have this report, going to have this IA report. And again, I don't know how you defend your misconduct.
Yeah, it's indefensible. Yeah.
I'm just
You
laughing.
can't explain it all away.
I'm just laughing about your Porky Proctor.
Sorry, it's social media kills me with the everybody with their memes and their comments and
Oh gosh.
I shouldn't say that. I was formerly fluffy, so I apologize. But
All right, here we go. AI buddy.
To include 2 of Trooper Proctor's supervisors. Trooper Proctor testified that he sent a series of inappropriate texts concerning MS Reed. In response to a photo of MS Reed's attorney, Trooper Proctor sent a text message, "Funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone." Trooper Proctor testified that the client he was referring to was MS Reed. This comment is unprofessional and offensive. It contributed to the appearance that Trooper Proctor was not impartial towards MS Reed. In a subsequent text message, Trooper Proctor sent, "No nudes so far." Trooper Proctor testified that at the time he sent that text message, he was going through MS Reed's cell phone. He said that he meant that comment as a joke and testified that he did not look for any nude photos of MS Reed.
Bullshit.
Trooper Proctor reiterated in his interview with investigators that he never looked for any photographs of MS Reed. Trooper Proctor explained that it is common to find nude photographs on phones that are searched.
Oh.
He explained that his intention was to update his KEO workers on the status of his search of Miss Reed's cell phone. While he was focusing on looking for location data and text message communication, he stated that he chose to use this inappropriate joke for the update to his CO workers, as it is known that nude photographs are commonly seen on cell phones. Absent the text "no nudes so far," there has been nothing learned in this investigation to show that Trooper Proctor did, in fact, look for nude photographs of MS Reed.
He just admitted to it. What are you talking about?
that was my thought.
He admitted to it.
I mean, I don't care if it's common or not, and probably it is. Okay, I mean, there's things on people's phones. As you said, we live on our phones. But the point is, he just admitted it. Like when the minute you say "no nudes thus far," you're at some point intentionally or subconsciously awaiting visualization of nude photographs.
State of mind. State of mind.
Yes.
100%, Todd. 100%. Please, if everybody's just jumping in here, let's make sure to smash the like button. That's free. And that will get this out there. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please make sure to subscribe. We try to do these every Monday night, the 3 amigos here. But if you're enjoying the content, please make sure to subscribe. All right, back to AI Buddy. I really wish it could have been Snoop Dogg, but we can't do it. It would for shizzle manizzle. It would have just awesome. But here we go.
Regardless of whether Trooper Proctor was actually looking for nude photographs of MS Reed, this comment is unprofessional, as well as degrading to MS Reed. In a separate text exchange with coworkers, Trooper Proctor sent a text message, "If you like women who shit themselves." This text was also sent as a comment on MS Reed's medical issues. Again, not only are these comments offensive, humiliating, and unprofessional, but they also ridicule a medical issue that has no bearing on the case.
We put HIPAA to bed because I've seen a lot of comments about HIPAA, Nan.
Oh, for the love of goodness!
Yeah,
gracious.
everybody's saying HIPAA violation by Proctor. Go ahead. You're a medical lawyer. Go ahead.
All right. First, I'm a healthcare lawyer of 25 years. Okay. I also know Glamma Suze is in your chat, and everything she's been writing is 100% accurate. And it looks like she was involved in helping to draft or formulate the HIPAA regulations. But this was not a HIPAA violation on the part of Trooper Proctor. If anything, it was a privacy violation, but it's not HIPAA for a number of reasons. One is that he did not, or the MSP did not procure these records as directly from a licensed healthcare facility or healthcare provider that would have been governed by it's a covered entity under the HIPAA regulations. But 2, and most importantly, HIPAA actually now only covers electronic medical records. So these are not electronic medical records. If an officer or a trooper talks to someone about her medical issues, it's not disclosure of confidential, quote, protected health information under the Healthcare Insurance and Portability Act of 1996. It's not a HIPAA issue. It's a privacy violation. Move on, guys. There's better things. It's actually a civil, administrative, and criminal statute that there can be penalties under, but this doesn't fall under it. It's a privacy issue. And to everyone in the chat who's debating it, I'm really excited because it's showing me you're interested in healthcare law. But it's not a HIPAA issue. Feel free to message me. We'll debate it.
You got the skinny. That's it. It's not a healthcare law. All right, here we go.
27. Trooper Proctor testified that on July 19, 2022, he drank alcohol with Canton police officer Kevin Albert after the two of them conducted work on an unresolved case. He testified, "From what I remember, we were down the Cape working on a cold case together and stopped for dinner, had a few beers, and then dropped him off." After further questioning, Trooper Proctor testified that he was operating his department-issued cruiser at the time. Through a review of pay station records, stage records, and AVL data, it was confirmed that Trooper Proctor was working and operating his department-issued cruiser. The timestamps from the AVL data do align with him working all day and returning home later in the night. Members who are engaged in certain investigative activities can be authorized to disable their cruiser's AVL capability if the recording of location data could adversely affect their assignment. An example could be to protect the identity of a witness or location of interest for an investigation. In his interview with investigators, Trooper Proctor said that he was in Sandwich to speak with potential witnesses of an unresolved homicide investigation.
Higgies.
As such, he
That's
would have been
Higgies, I'm telling
authorized to
you.
disable his cruiser's
Higgies.
AVL capability for a duration of
That is Higgy. I'm telling you. He was down there talking to Higgy.
I think so too.
Unresolved homicide. I'm telling you, it's Higgy. It's Higgy and Sandwich.
time needed to
Higgy.
facilitate this assignment. Trooper Proctor was also shown a text message he received the following day, in which Kevin Albert stated he was hungover, to which Trooper Proctor replied, "Yes, it does refresh my memory." During his interview with investigators, Trooper Proctor did acknowledge to investigators that he drank 1 to 2 beers while having dinner in Sandwich before returning home to Canton. He stated that he was not intoxicated. Trooper Proctor's testimony combined with the text messages suggests that Kevin Albert may have been intoxicated. However, Trooper Proctor explained to investigators that the line of questioning by the defense attorney in the trial was difficult to follow on this topic. Trooper Proctor stated to investigators that he did not believe Kevin Albert was intoxicated. While there has been nothing found in this investigation to support the notion that Trooper Proctor was intoxicated, department members are not allowed to consume alcohol while working. His testimony, combined with his statement provided to investigators, confirmed that he consumed alcohol and then operated his department-issued cruiser on July 19, 2022. The facts learned in this investigation support that Trooper Proctor operated his department-issued cruiser after consuming alcohol.
Wah, wah, wah.
28. At the time Trooper Proctor went to Sandwich on July 19, 2022, his scheduled shift was 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. in his pay station entry and Dodge log. He reported working until 10:30 p.m. during his interview with investigators. Trooper Proctor stated that he picked Kevin Albert up at approximately 5 p.m.
What's a DAJ log, Todd?
It spelled it out earlier in the report, but essentially that's where you enter all of your working hours in the department logs it through a system called PayStation.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that.
He stated that he estimated that it took approximately 1.5 to 2 hours to arrive in Sandwich. He stated that he and Kevin Albert conducted a lengthy interview of one witness and made efforts to locate another witness. They both then stopped for dinner.
Chloe.
Trooper Proctor stated that they returned to Canton after dinner, arriving in Canton at approximately 10:45 p.m. He stated the trip back to Canton took approximately 1.5 hours. Members are allowed to stop and eat a meal while working as part of their duties, whether on a regularly scheduled shift or overtime. It is not reasonable for a member to stop for an extended amount of time for a meal and subsequently request overtime pay. In this specific instance, when travel time and the time spent on interviews and witness tracking are considered, I find it reasonable to believe that Trooper Proctor did not take an extended amount of time for dinner. The facts learned in this investigation support that Trooper Proctor did not inappropriately request overtime pay. 29. Additionally, Trooper Proctor shared with his personal friends and family members specific information about facts of the investigation. Trooper Proctor acknowledged that these individuals are not law enforcement personnel. As they were not law enforcement personnel, there was no reason to provide them with any information related to the case. The information provided was specific to facts of the investigation, to include the identities of the victim and potential witnesses, as well as potential police actions that would be taken. While there was nothing learned in this investigation that showed Trooper Proctor acted with intent to affect the outcome of the investigation, sharing sensitive
man.
information with individuals who are not authorized to receive it is not allowed. The facts learned in this investigation support the allegation that Trooper Proctor shared sensitive investigative information with unauthorized individuals. 30. After reviewing the testimony provided by Trooper Proctor related to the text messages about MS Reed that Trooper Proctor sent, as well as information he provided to investigators, and considering the ramifications of his actions, it is clear that Trooper Proctor's behavior was unprofessional. His actions created an image that he was not impartial in his dealings with MS Reed. It is entirely reasonable that a police officer may have personal feelings about an individual, but a police officer must act solely on fact and reason. While there is no—
Wow, where have we heard that before, Todd?
Yep. There's an echo in the room.
There's an echo in the room.
Follow the
no
facts.
evidence to show that the
Right.
police actions taken by Trooper Proctor were directly influenced by his personal feelings about MS Reed. His conduct demonstrated that he acted in an unprofessional manner that was demeaning to MS Reed and cast the department into disrepute. Recommendations.
All right. Why don't we do this? And I don't know if Nan has the report in front of her.
Oh, I do.
Would you
That's
like
what-
to read the recommendations, Nan, so we can get kind of away from the AI voice, and I'll put them up on the screen and we can read through them?
I should
And,
do.
and Brian, that DAJ, I believe, was Daily Activity Journal.
Aha.
I should do my British. I do a really mean British accent. I won't. Or my dad was Scottish. I should do my brogue. But anyway, sure. I'm happy to do that. Okay.
All right. So we got our recommendations here.
All right. After after
Maybe we need to go back to the AI, right?
I got you. All right.
That's a glitch, man. That's a glitch.
It was a glitch. Cut me some slack, guys. All right, here we go. Bring it. After a review of all available information contained within this report, I respectfully request this case be closed with the following findings. A, regarding the allegation that between January 29, 2022 and February 1, 2022, Trooper Michael D. Proctor provided information about a homicide victim to non-law enforcement personnel. The incident is supported by sufficient evidence to prove employee misconduct. That finding was sustained. B, regarding the allegation that between January 29, 2022 and February 1, 2022, Trooper Proctor provided information about potential witnesses in a homicide investigation to non-law enforcement personnel. The incident is supported by sufficient evidence to prove employee misconduct. That was sustained. C, regarding the allegation that between January 29th, 2022 and June 9th, 2022, Trooper Proctor provided information about potential investigative steps and police actions related to a homicide investigation to non-law enforcement personnel. This incident is supported by sufficient evidence to prove employee misconduct.
That's a major violation. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he provided that information about investigative steps, and someone in your chat, I didn't catch his or her name a short while ago, had said, like, Proctor was kind of giving out information, I'm paraphrasing, that kind of gave them tips so they could react. I mean, it's kind of, it's like leaving little breadcrumbs so that you can maneuver ahead of time. If you know which way your adversary is going to go, then you can advance plan. This is that's a
Hansel and
major
Gretel.
There's a violation of the confidentiality clause in policy and procedure.
Oh, can you explain that a little bit more, Todd? What does that mean?
Out of all the department rules and regulations, policies and procedures, that in particular item that you just read, Nan, would be a violation of the confidentiality policy and procedure. That information, as a result of an investigation, is to be held essentially secret during the investigation, and it should not be disseminated or disclosed outside of the state police.
Wow.
So it goes back to integrity. This guy has none. You should not be able to hold a badge and a gun ever again, or ever work in law enforcement ever again.
Yeah.
I just don't see how he can get his job. He can't be trusted.
Well,
He can't be trusted.
And then we're going to see it happen all again with the King case,
Yeah.
the Walsh case, right?
Yeah.
So, we're focused on Karen Reed, but, stand by, right? We've got a whole nother scenario to uncover with the same patterns of behavior and misconduct.
Here we go again.
all right. Okay, I agree. And he's leaking this information to people, some of whom know or have friendships with the Alberts.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's not just, oh, I
Yes.
said this to my high school buddies who are all a bunch of losers, by the way. No, he said it to people who are friends with Alberts. Come on. Okay, sorry, let me go back. Let me go back to where I was. All right, D. Regarding the allegation that on multiple dates between January 29, 2022 and June 9, 2022, Trooper Proctor sent derogatory, defamatory, and/or disparaging text messages to non-law enforcement personnel about a suspect in a homicide investigation. This incident is supported by sufficient evidence to prove misconduct that was sustained. E. Regarding the allegation that on February 1st, 2022, Trooper Proctor engaged in behavior to accept a reward, gift, or gratuity on account of his official services, there is insufficient evidence to prove or disprove the complaint. So that was not sustained. I think that has to do with the fact that we were saying before, as
No follow-up.
there was really no follow-up about that. He didn't receive a gift. I mean, whatever. You guys know my feelings on it.
Yeah,
So,
my feelings on it.
and I think really it's like, it doesn't matter to me because, and I think Todd would agree, most of these findings are much more egregious that were sustained than the fact that he did indeed not receive a gift.
Yeah.
F, regarding the allegation that on dates between June 9, 2022 and August 17, 2022, Trooper Proctor sent derogatory, defamatory, and disparaging text messages about a suspect in a homicide investigation to other law enforcement personnel. This incident is supported by sufficient evidence to prove employee misconduct, and that was sustained. All right, there's just a few more, guys. G, regarding the allegation that on August 17th, 2022, Trooper Proctor looked for nude photographs of a suspect in a homicide investigation, there is insufficient evidence to prove or disprove the complaint, not sustained. And I know we were just talking about this with regard to the gift giving, but when there is a finding in an administrative body's report, the fact that it's not sustained, that doesn't mean A, that it's not egregious, and it doesn't mean that it cannot be further explored hereafter. It's just one of those things like right now on its face, they didn't find anything. It was not sustained. So, all right, H, regarding the allegation that on July 19th, 2022, Trooper Proctor consumed alcohol while on duty, the incident is supported by sufficient evidence to prove misconduct. That was sustained. I, regarding the allegation that on July 19th, 2022, Trooper Proctor consumed alcohol and then operated his department-issued cruiser, the incident is supported by sufficient evidence to prove misconduct. Sustained. J, regarding the allegation that on July 19th, 2022, Trooper Proctor received overtime pay while not engaging in official duties, this incident occurred, but members' actions were lawful and proper, exonerated. Interesting. Yeah, this overtime issue still matters to me. And if I were someone like Long Island audit guy or you, Brian, I would want to look more into his overtime payment history, just like with Fahey.
I will.
I know you will. You're like a dog with a bone.
Yeah.
Okay, K, the last one, K. Regarding the allegation that on dates between January 29 and August 17th, 2022, Trooper Proctor engaged in behavior that brought himself and the department into disrepute. The incident is supported by sufficient evidence to prove misconduct. And this report was prepared by Kevin Dwyer, the detective lieutenant of the Office of Professional Integrity and Accountability.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, I'd say, earth-shattering in the report. I think there's a lot of things that we already knew, but it's nice to see what the actual charges were and broken down, because we haven't really heard all of that. So I think it gave a good, clear, concise report as to what the charges were. I have to agree with Nan. I think the report was very well written and clear, very easy to follow and be understanding. So, Todd, where does this, that you said this report now will go to the civil commission that's taking part in these hearings? They'll get this report.
Yeah, let me take a step back, Brian. That once the trial board has these findings, they then send these recommendations that Nan just read off to Colonel Noble, and then ultimately the final decision, in this case it was termination, rests with Colonel Noble. As far as the Civil Service Commission goes, just like Proctor's trying to get 250, 60 documents where other troopers were disciplined, well, the Civil Service Commission will also have a set of discovery documents, which this should be a part of that package of documents that they will have.
This guy should not get his job back. I'm sorry. I just don't. If it happens, I'm like, how could this ever happen? I think it just should be a big fat no. There's no reason to keep going on with this.
Yeah, Brian, his and again, I'm not justifying how or that this is a credible defense, but he's going to look at troopers and say, hey, this trooper was committed with criminal charges and was prosecuted, actually did jail time. That wasn't my situation. So he's going to try to paint some type of contrast. And again, is they're going to bifurcate it, right? So part one is just cause. Did the department have just cause to terminate him? And then secondly, they're going to look at disparagement. That's the second part, right? So, and that's the comparison to other disciplinary action against other troopers.
I don't know. I don't see it. I hope they do the right thing. I hope Colonel Noble steps in and I'm sure he'll have a ultimate decision in this as well too, and just steps in and says, no. I mean, he claims he wants to clean up the department, then start cleaning it up. Don't let this guy back in. Don't let this guy have a badge and a gun, and please don't let him be aligned with any type of law enforcement agency ever again. Because if you don't start cutting off the rotten apples off the tree, what happens? The whole tree is going to rot to the core, and that's what we're seeing here.
100%.
Well, and wasn't it Noble who said this was a righteous firing? And also, everyone should always be mindful of precedent setting. So if there is an ultimate determination that his termination gets reversed, or I don't know the agency's verbiage for that, but undone, and he gets restored to active duty, or even if there's some type of negotiation of back pay for him for a period of time, if he's rewarded in any way from the time that he was put on suspension without pay through the time that he was terminated, and thereafter it has been going this far along as no longer working for them and obviously not being paid, if he's restored, think about the future potential misconduct that the MSP would be inviting of its officers. If Proctor can get away with this and go through the administrative and civil and union channels to get his job back, think about the next Tom, Dick, or Harry down the line who conducts himself or comports himself so inappropriately and then says, well, look at the precedent, because even Proctor got his job back. And that's really how lawyers work. We base our arguments on precedent. So I don't think that he's going to get his job back. I hope he doesn't. I also would hope that he's unable to negotiate even payment, some monetary payment for some period of time where he lost pay after suspension. But I don't see it. And I want to say, Todd, you have said, you've gone on record previously saying he's not getting his job back.
I don't think so. And again, just what we read tonight, really solidifies why
Yeah.
he wouldn't be reinstated is the actual term. So, again, due process, he's entitled to due process. He's entitled to his appeal.
Right.
And we'll see how things come up here in the next week or so.
A leopard never changes his spots or her spots. They're always just going to be that person who they
Agreed.
are. And this is clearly of who Michael Proctor is. Let's do this. I got a couple of chats I want to read, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna welcome both of you. Todd sent me a video of the Colonel Noble just gave an interview to CBS Boston probably about an hour ago. It launched. You're welcome to stay. If you can't, it's fine. I'm gonna go through it with everybody and just play through it. If you wanna join me, you can. I know it's late. We've been on for about 2 hours. If you can't stay, not a problem.
I will have to pop off
No problem.
motherly duties and
Yeah,
dog
no
duties.
problem.
And are you doing that right now, or we're doing chats for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna do chats real quick, and then
Yeah.
if you need to bounce, it's okay. I'm gonna hang out and watch it. I want to see it. He talks about the Sandra Birchmar case, Karen Reed, and I'm sure reshaping the department as well too. So kind of falls into what we did, but no problem, man.
I will be listening.
Not a
There comes
problem.
a time when I just walk around with AirPods in and listen and binge, and times when I stream. And before I forget, so I don't interrupt you, when I pop off, it's been a pleasure seeing both of you guys. I always
Cool.
love it. And someone put in the chat before, Todd, Brian LaFurio and Todd BLT, which I thought was very funny.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's funny. That is funny. All right, we'll do some chats again. I did this one earlier. Jen, thank you so much. She says you guys really have good flow. I appreciate that. I have not sent it to Karen, but I'm probably already going to tell you. Her and her team probably have seen this and have this report. Brian B checking in says those texts hurt the 2,500 plus cops in MSP. It's so sad. Yeah, I mean, I just saw Todd shaking his head. Yes. Stephanie, $5 says, hi, Todd. Man, I wish Snoop was reading. My little guy loves his kids show. Little does he know his mom is an OG. That's awesome. I wish I could have done it. We probably would have got nailed for copyright. That's why I didn't do it. NH2, thank you so much for the 7-month membership. Smash the button and subscribe to these great people. I appreciate that. Karma checking in says paycheck was thanks enough. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Lola, $5 says, did they not think that at the very least the behavior and language deserved a psych evaluation? At least these texts imply that he has some anger issues. That's a great point, and I agree. Chicken Shite, we got a Canadian friend checking in. Thank you so much for the $2. Says, I love Todd. Thank you. Ocean Beach checking in. Is that Ocean Beach in Connecticut? I live down in that area. It's a very beautiful area. One time I was down there just an off season, and the naval base is right there. And one day I'm down there, and all of a sudden I'm standing near the water, and a submarine literally comes,
my God.
submerges, and all of a sudden you see the tugs coming in and pulling the sub, and I go, what the hell? And I've been there when they've ascended right there before too, and it's pretty cool. You hear the and all that noise. It's pretty neat. And I probably will never make that noise again, by the way. Says, face it, Proctor is psychic, and that's why he used Liz's text. The Paul report shows he ordered reconstruction at 2:30 p.m. before he saw the Lexus at 3:30. The patterns. Yes, I agree. Lola, thanks again for 5. Says, IA never investigated that Proctor lied under oath in court when he said Yannetti went to his sister's school and harassed her and was asked to leave. Yeah, it's a good point too. Terry, thank you so much for the $10. Says, thank you so much, Todd and Nan. Appreciate your honesty, professionalism, and explanations. You both are the best, and that's why we do these Monday night shows. They're great, and I love them to death. Love them to death.
Brian, I'm going to have to pop off as well, but I want to say this about Colonel Noble. Despite what people may think about his interview, I'm glad he's finally vocal. I'm glad he's on the airway. You're right. You're absolutely right. And people want to hear from leadership. And so this was an opportunity. I'll extend that much grace towards him. He's got a difficult job. Again, large department, 2,500 different personalities. And, it's a leader. You got to be able to come out and take the good with the bad.
Yeah. I agree. Well, we'll go through it. So everybody's going to hang out here. Again, my two guests this evening, retired Mass State Police Trooper Todd McGhee and Nan Gallagher, ESQ attorney. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll do this again soon.
My
Absolutely.
pleasure being here. See you guys soon and
Good
enjoy
night,
the
chat.
rest of the
Thank you,
show.
guys.
Absolutely.
Bye
Have a good
bye.
night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, we're going to hang out. We're going to play the video here. Colonel Noble, I have not seen it yet. Todd sent it to me. So let's play. Here we go. I am going to speed it up a little bit here so we're not here all night. So I'll go up a little click here. Here we
I
go.
just want to start with you starting in this job. It was, I believe, September 2024 that it was announced that you were going to start here.
Yep.
And there was a lot of stress put on the fact that you were coming from the outside. There was a search outside of Massachusetts for someone external to come in and lead state police. And this was in a time that was difficult for state police, coming off of an overtime scandal. First Karen Reed trial had just ended, among other issues. Why did you take this job?
Well, I am an outsider from another state police agency. That said, I grew up in and around Massachusetts. I grew up around members of the Massachusetts State Police, and then as a state trooper from another state, I worked my entire career, and many times I got to work alongside the Massachusetts State Police and the women and men of the Massachusetts State Police in an operational capacity. And through all those experiences, I developed a profound respect for the Massachusetts State Police, for the institution of the Massachusetts State Police, and for what it represents. And I always, growing up in this area and through my professional career, viewed the Massachusetts State Police as a model nationally. And over time and overseeing what was occurring and the shortfalls and the scandals that had happened, that was not the Massachusetts State Police. That was not representative of the Massachusetts State Police that I had gotten to know personally over the years. And once there was an announcement that there was a national search that was being done, I had retired at this point from law enforcement. I had moved on and from public service. But in that moment, I felt that if the governor felt that she was going to choose somebody from the outside, and if that person was me, I felt that it was a call to service, a call to support the institution of the Massachusetts State Police and to support the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That if that was in fact an opportunity that was afforded to me, that I would put my hand up and say, I would do everything in my power and in my ability to come and be a part of the Massachusetts State Police. But it's driven and based on two key factors. One, it's my belief in the Massachusetts State Police, which I believe that the Commonwealth has and shares, which is why we have this moment that's resonating so loudly. This belief in the Massachusetts State Police and the excellence that it should represent, and the slippage that has occurred. And that resonates with the community equally as it resonates with me. So that's why I'm here. It's my belief in the Mass State Police, and it's my belief in also the fact that we can address this moment, that we have to address this moment.
So you've used terms like slippage, scandal. I'm thinking big picture right now. You've worked in other state police agencies. Are these issues special to Massachusetts State Police or not?
There are issues that are unique to any agency.
Okay.
I don't think that the Massachusetts State Police is unique in this regard. I think that underlying these issues is the fact that as a large organization and a human organization, there are human beings behind what we do.
Right.
We have an institution, but there are going to be issues. But what I do find that I can bring to this moment that is a bit unique is a focus and a laser focus on improving our management structures, the managerial internal controls that the Massachusetts State Police has to ensure that we have accountability across the board. And I think that if I was to drill down in one specific area that I believe that I can support the Massachusetts State Police on, it's to support this department through exceptional management practices, exceptional internal controls, so that our troopers are getting the support that they need to number one, do their job. But number two, there's management, there's oversight, there's accountability. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we are accountable to the public. And so our job is to ensure that we are focused on building out these internal controls. And then equally as important, being transparent with the community so that the communities hear what we're doing, have a say in what we're doing. And then ultimately, the goal here is to restore some degree of public confidence so that there's a sense of confidence that the state police, we are not going to be perfect. No agency I know is perfect. We're a human agency. The real challenge we have is to ensure that when we're not perfect, when we fall short of that expectation, that number one, we see it. Number two, we have the right mechanisms in place. And that's where we're focused on right now.
You kind of walked me right into this, which is the unique part about your position, I think, is that you answer to the people of Massachusetts and also to the thousands of state troopers, right? You're in that position kind of between what at times can be competing concerns. How do you deal with that?
Well, you look for common ground. You start with saying, where do we all agree?
Mhm.
And what I have found is that that area of where we agree on is huge. That's a very large area. I believe that is the majority. That area, meaning what I mean by that is we all agree that the Massachusetts State Police needs to be held accountable. The public agrees with that, and our troopers, I can assure you, agree with that. We all agree that troopers in our investigations and our troopers on patrol, our technical assets, our tactical folks, our air wing, we need to be operating at the highest standards. We are the Massachusetts State Police, and there's an expectation of that, and the Commonwealth is depending on that. We all agree on that. So for me, what my takeaway right now is we agree on so much,
Okay.
and there's certainly areas where we haven't aligned with an expectation, and we need to fix that. But the troopers understand this moment. The troopers agree, in my experience, from what I have found, with the majority of the concerns that are out there, and the troopers are very committed.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about staffing. Where are you at currently, and is it in line with your goals?
So currently, we have just over 2,400 sworn members of the department. We have just over 650 non-sworn members of the department. We have a class in right now. We have the 91st Academy class in, which is in there just over midway past their training right now. And then we have another class in, the 92nd class, which has started 13 weeks after the 91st. So as I sit here today, we have 2 classes running simultaneously.
I'm going to tell you right now, there better be a question, and you know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say. What is the question that we need an answer to? And I'll give you a little bit of hint. I'm going to say Academy. What do you think is the question that I'm hinting to that should be in this interview? What is the question? Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Let's get some answers here.
At the Academy. So we have I would say that the staffing levels right now for the Mass State Police are healthy. I'm confident right now that we can respond to and execute their duties and responsibilities. That said, we are facing a large number of our troopers who are senior that have over 25 plus years. I expect that we'll see healthy retirements as we would normally expect. It is critical that we maintain a healthy pipeline because we have some big challenges ahead. We have the FIFA 2026 next year, which is going to put a strain across the Commonwealth, but in a very good way. It's going to be an opportunity to show the world what the Commonwealth has to offer, and the state police look forward to being a part of that and to providing the appropriate security. But again, to do that, we need to make sure that we have enough troopers to do our job. So we're okay right now, but as I would absolutely put hiring and staffing as one of my top priorities that I absolutely focus on maintaining. Okay,
I wanted to just go over some because I've seen some recruiting posts on social media from state police asking, do you want to become a state trooper? Here's how you do it. And as I'm sure you are well aware, the responses to those are not always glowing. So I've looked at some of them. I just want to read you a few of them and ask you about it.
Sure.
So, a post from state police saying, do you want to become a state trooper? Here's how. Some of the comments. First, fire those that put us at risk. You know who they are. Once again, you cannot recoup public trust while still maintaining Officer John O'Keefe got the investigation he deserved. Own it. Integrity. How's that Sandra Birchmore case holding up for you guys and your integrity? I can't believe state police have to recruit. It used to be one of the best jobs in the Commonwealth. Now it's a punchline. Enrique Delgado signed up to be a state trooper and ended up dead during a training exercise. No sane person would work for the stateys now because Proctor ruined them. I'm sure you see these comments. Are your recruiting efforts hindered? And why do you think that is?
I think that anytime we see an erosion of public trust, anytime a police department has an incident that calls into question the integrity of the institution or the individual troopers, absolutely there is an impact on recruiting. I think that, and we're seeing that here. That said, I also know very proudly that we have over 2,400 troopers that are out there doing the job and doing it very well every day. And I think that we, as the Massachusetts State Police, need to continue to ensure that we will understand, we will accept the impediments to recruiting, whether it's specific issues that we have regarding performance of individual troopers or something more systemic that there's accusations of. But my response to that is engage with us, talk to us. Through these messages.
We've been doing that. He's skating. He's skating. He's skating right now. He's skating around the questions. He just went. did a big old circle right around it. The questions were right there in front of him. Bam, hit him like a bucket of water. And now he's skating around it. He just went around it, totally skating around it. Here we go.
And through our recruiting campaign, we are formally opening that door to say, learn about us, challenge us. And I expect hard conversation. I expect, and that's part of this job as a very public facing, and we are accountable to the public. And when citizens have commentary to respond to us, absolutely, we don't shy away from that. That's part of this business. But I would also say, and challenge the Commonwealth to say, take the extra step and learn about us. We have formally, one change that you have seen through our excellence initiative and through our community outreach efforts is we have formally opened up communications. We are doing through the very post that you just referred to. We're opening up that door to say, come learn about us. If you're going to make a decision to pursue a career in law enforcement in the Massachusetts State Police, that's obviously a huge decision, but be informed. And we will accept and we will own and we will talk through the issues and the challenges, but we also want to talk about there's a lot of good to this job. And I still 100% believe that the Massachusetts State Police is an exceptional place to work. And frankly, I wouldn't have taken this job if I didn't believe that.
We have to talk about the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe and the subsequent Karen Reed trial.
Absolutely.
You started this job at an interesting time, right after the first trial ended, and then you were a colonel while the second trial went on. Of course, the #1 state trooper whose name has been associated with this has been Michael Proctor. I know that all of the behavior that he was terminated over happened before your time here. I'm just curious if you can reflect on that, on all of it, frankly, on the text messages and his handling of that investigation and how it reflects on state police.
Yeah, I think formally that the actions I've taken since I've been the colonel speak for themselves as far as I ultimately am responsible for making the final decision to terminate Trooper Proctor. That's a decision that's got my name on it, and I stand behind that decision. But I think that when you understand and you look through the particular facts and circumstances regarding that decision, we have to look at it from a bit of a macro job-wide. We have to identify what actually happened. We have to look at that from a process standpoint and say, did the Massachusetts State Police have the proper training, accountability, insights, and controls across the board to ensure that doesn't happen, to ensure that when our troopers are involved in an investigation, particularly a major investigation, a complex a death investigation, and this comes from I spent 17 years investigating death investigations. Our mission needs to be laser focused on finding the truth, period, hard stop. That's what the mission of a detective is to uncover the truth, regardless of what direction that it takes you, and to follow the facts and evidence of your investigation, and to do so with integrity, with confidentiality, and with the professionalism that we expect. So to your
he just said, we follow the facts and the evidence of the case. Isn't that funny that he said that? Because what didn't happen in Karen Reed's case? What did former Trooper Proctor, not do? Follow the facts and the evidence. We've heard Todd say this over and over and over and over again. Follow the facts and the evidence.
Your point, all those issues that factored into that decision, just like any other investigation I'd like to offer, we actively have been and will continue to take back to our team, digest the issues, learn from them, and then absolutely we have the responsibility to put measures in place so that we can report back to the public and say, we've learned from that, we've gotten better, we've improved, and now we're moving forward.
So in that case in particular, is the takeaway that perhaps Proctor's mission was not just to find the truth?
Well, I think that the investigation itself, keep in mind, took place before
Right.
I got it. So I was not here when the investigation took place. So I can't, and nor will I speak to the mission and how it was conveyed during the investigation portion of that. What I can say is that in my review of the after action reports and of the issues that were raised that I reviewed through the internal affairs process, certainly we identified areas where I think being specific to our core mission, a reminder to our core mission, is appropriate here. The actual why do we have troopers assigned to these cases? Why are we there? Well, we're there to uncover the truth. And I believe that it's our job and my job sitting in this role currently as the colonel to make sure that we are being loud and clear with the why and what we expect from our troopers. And that why absolutely is, as far as investigations goes, is aligned with the core mission of uncovering the truth, wherever it takes you. So we've taken some steps towards that. If you'll allow me to describe, like one particular step that we've done is we have, if you are an investigator, if you're assigned to an investigation role within the Massachusetts State Police, I look at that, and our team looks at that as an expertise, as an expert position. And with that comes the expectations that our troopers will be prepared, trained, and will perform as an extra. So to that effect, we've implemented a new in-service program for our specialized units, where just like a doctor has to go or a lawyer has to go for continuing education credits, any trooper that's assigned to a specialized unit will be required to undergo advanced training to keep up with the changing dynamics or the environment, but also be adaptive, but also understand where we can do better. That's part of it. That's part of a really healthy organization. So we just put our troopers who were assigned to investigations, about 500 or so troopers, through that first exercise, through
That's
that
new.
first training. That's new. And that's not going to stop with one training. That's
Right.
going to be a continuing process that will occur, certainly as long as I'm here.
Just a couple more questions on this particular topic. The few other officers, troopers associated with that investigation, faced some minor discipline, and most of them were moved out of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. Was that your call, or was that the DA's call? And do you feel at this point like there's been sufficient accountability for that case?
Ultimately, the transfer of troopers lies with me.
Okay.
Ultimately, our policies, so transfers of troopers at the end of the day comes down, and under statute is under the authority of the superintendent. So the transferring of the colonels ultimately is my decision.
Mhm.
That said, moving certain troopers that were involved in that investigation, it ultimately is my decision, and I believe it's the right decision. But that decision was collaborative. That was felt across multiple levels that we needed to make some changes. So it wasn't, when I got here and started assessing some personnel decisions, putting new commanders, new supervisors in key positions, particularly in Norfolk County, I firmly believe was a decision in the best interest of the Commonwealth, of the citizens of Norfolk County, and the Mass State Police, and I wasn't alone in that decision.
So just based on having covered both of these trials, it's pretty clear that state police, based on their investigation, as well as prosecutors in this case, believed that Karen Reed was responsible for John O'Keefe's death. Do you feel as though state police's performance in that investigation contributed to the lack of conviction at the end of the day?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think anytime when you have a charge that's brought to a defendant, and as the lead investigative agency in this case, which was the Mass State Police has, and you have a case where the jury finds that there's not probable cause to convict, then absolutely the investigative body has to look through that and to say, why did we not give the jurors enough information? Did our mechanisms that we had in play to report that information, was our investigation lacking? So I think we, the state police, have to look in the mirror and say, yeah, what could we have done better? What are areas? And I think in this case, this case obviously was very publicized, so we don't have to look far to really look through that, and then to be focused on moving forward and say, we need to put what can we have done? But I would just add to that, and to say that the way the state police is operating right now, it's not limited to one particular case.
Right.
Every single event, the way that our management structure is operating right now, we are in a posture right now where everything we do, whether it's a motor vehicle crash investigation, whether it's a security incident or a security event like the Boston fireworks show, where we had a huge security presence, or it's a marathon event, or it's any event, we have a management style in place right now in the state police that we are after actioning what we do with the notion that we can do better. So it's that sense of humility that we have to take to look ourselves in the eye across the board and say, yeah, where can we improve? If we're doing things great, that's great. And we are doing things great, and we'll enhance those areas and we'll replicate them. But it's incumbent upon us to ensure, and we have done that, and we will continue to do that, whether it's the trial in Norfolk County or really all of our operations.
So do you feel confident saying now that if a situation like the death of John O'Keefe, something similar were to happen tomorrow, that it would be handled differently by troopers?
I have every bit of confidence sitting here today that if we have an investigation that we're called to today, regardless of the scope, regardless of the complexity, that we have a team of Massachusetts State Police in play. We have the managerial controls in play to ensure that our investigations right now are being done to excellent standards right now.
I want to ask you about Sandra Birch more as well. I know this was also before your time, but it is a case that's now ongoing at the federal level. And it seems as though there was a local investigation, a state police investigation, then ultimately nothing came of that until the feds got involved. And now, local cop is in jail. Where and why did state police drop the ball there? And is that part of what you're looking into in your role?
Certainly it is. And that investigation certainly is ongoing right now. So I can't comment specifically on that investigation specifically. That said, I think there's no, when it comes to us working with our federal partners, to speak to this a little bit more broadly, we welcome another agency coming in and looking at investigation. I think there's a little bit of misinformation out there that there is on whether it's that particular case or others. We welcome that. And if if another entity, another law enforcement partner, in this case, the federal authorities come in and say, hey, we want to look at this case. We want to engage. We want to work through the evidence. We have the shared common goal.
Okay.
And on this case, as well as the other areas where we work, there's no space between us. We want the same thing. I've communicated that directly with our federal partners, that anything we can do from the Mass State Police on any investigation to support a thorough investigation. And there are times when one department comes in and helps another department realize success. There's times when another department, that's law enforcement, and that's why it is so critical that we work well with our partners. So we support any of their efforts to do. We are continuing to support that investigation in any means necessary.
So the way the public might perceive the FBI coming in as a failure of state police, you don't see it that way.
I can understand that there's perceptions out there. That specific, again, I won't speak that specific investigation, or perhaps when the time comes, when it's appropriate to, I'd be happy to. But as far as that specific investigation, because it's an ongoing investigation, I can't speak to that.
Okay. I know we have spoken a little bit about this, but Enrique Delgado Garcia, he was in training. He passed away during his
All right, let's watch this. Here we go. Want to see how he reacts.
state police training. Do you have an update on the status of the internal investigation here?
So to be clear, when we say an internal investigation, there is no internal investigation regarding the death of Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia.
Okay.
That investigation has been assigned
It's
to
now an external
It's
investigation.
an external investigation. So I just want to be
Right.
clear, and that investigation is being done by an independent prosecutor who was assigned. That decision was made before I got here, and obviously that decision I believe is wholeheartedly appropriate. And by design, the Massachusetts State Police is walled off from that investigation. So we don't have an investigation into his death. I'm aware that there's an investigation ongoing. We're completely cooperating with that investigation, and we, like so many others, the community, the family, we want the same answer. We are eager to hear the results of the investigation. And we are eager to understand the circumstances when it's appropriate. And I also understand that this is taking a considerable amount of time. I can't speak to that because I'm not part of that investigation. But I can say, as an investigator broadly, I know that we want to get it right. We want to learn from it. We want to, and I'll defer to the independent prosecutor on his investigation and the timing thereof. But when the appropriate time comes, we look forward to learning about the investigation, understanding what happened, and our resolve to do everything in our power to avoid any of our trainees being hurt or dying in a training environment. Our resolve and our commitment to ensure that we do everything in our power to not have that again is never ending.
Is there
I
any?
want to let everybody know this has gone to the grand jury. So keep that in mind. The grand jury is listening to this. All right, here we go.
Thing that you have considered doing for transparency's sake? I know that these training exercises are videoed, either releasing videos from prior training exercises or from his training exercise. Have you considered any of that just to kind of keep the public informed?
I since I've been here, I have committed to being as transparent, and I think that my efforts and my actions since I've been here show that under my administration here with the state police, and since I've been here, we are going to continue to be as transparent as possible. That said, it's not under my purview. I do not have the authority to be transparent regarding that specific incident. That's again under the direction.
So that case is out of your hands at the moment.
So I again will defer to that. Now there have been now. Speaking of transparency, at the academy, though, we are currently doing something that's never been done before. That's been unprecedented. We currently have an outside assessors, a team that we hired, independent of what the investigation. That investigation is separate. But what we have been able to do, and this is something that's come from within. But I would also say it was also ordered by Governor Healy. On the day that I got sworn in, I had a discussion with Governor Healy, and she ordered an external review of our state police academy. So while the separate investigation's been ongoing, we meaning separate from that investigation, contracted with the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and they have been on site, open doors, watching, learning, having access unfettered to our training, to our curriculum, to how we're doing it. And so I would say from a transparency standpoint, we have been doing things. We have been taking action that is unprecedented. So what's occurring right now in our current class is not happening behind some wall of silence or some closed doors. We have external folks from all over the country, experts in policing, other police departments on site, part of the training process right now. And at some point soon, they'll do a complete report, and I will look forward to reviewing that report.
And the public will eventually get to learn the results.
Absolutely. I look forward to sitting down. If you allow me, we'll talk through what those recommendations are, and where appropriate, we will adopt those recommendations.
Before I get to my final topic, which is your excellence initiative, I do need to go backwards with one question I missed, because I know that I think part of the reason we're still here, right? This trial in Norfolk County ended now months ago. Part of the reason we're still here is because there's a lot of people who can't let it go, who still feel really, really strongly about it. And they're going to want to know, given that, is the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe now closed?
So that case, as it stands,
Yeah.
I have to defer to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office
Okay.
for the status of the investigation. That is ultimately their decision to comment on it. So I will respect that. That said, the Massachusetts State Police is what any new information, any information that is out there that can come into the Massachusetts State Police, whether it's on this case or any case,
Yeah.
We welcome. And our posture is and always will be, we will respond accordingly to appropriate information in our seek for the truth.
Let's get into your excellence initiative. This was announced relatively recently. And I want to read this one line from the press release that you put out when you announced it. It says, the goal, more or less, is that this excellence initiative underscores the department's unwavering commitment to upholding its values of integrity and professionalism, ensuring operational excellence and accountability, fostering community engagement, and public trust. What prompted this? Was this an idea before you started here? Did this come to you as you kind of observed what was going on with state police? How did this come about?
This is a direct reflection of the way that we're doing business moving forward. We need to first of all, do an assessment. We need to look objectively across the board, understand where we're doing well, where we're operating well. But the way that we are approaching this is we are going to move forward with a plan, and that plan is going to be inclusive, not just from the state police. We are not sitting at our table as troopers and as with a command staff of folks wearing the uniform and saying, hey, what are we doing? Just the opposite. We've opened up that conversation. We've increased our community engagement efforts, which you'll see as part of that excellence initiative. We open up the door. I would also highlight the fact that one of the first things we did was we created a new position within the command staff of the Mass State Police. So we have a new title, a position of Chief Community Engagement Officer, who is a non-sworn member of our department who comes in without prior law enforcement experience. And that role very specifically is to bring a voice, bring a difference of opinion to our table as we move forward. So these are some things that have happened already since we've been here. But the excellence initiative, after my initial assessment, we said, well, we are going to come up with our top priorities. And that's what that is. And out of my commitment to being transparent to the troopers and to the communities, I felt it was appropriate to put it out there, and to put it out there in a meaningful way and say, this is where we're at. This is not there's no victory lap here, just the opposite. This is what we've come up with right now. This is what we are working on. And this is our intention to move forward based on, and it's also, I think if the public should know, is what is this, is the state police doing anything? Is the state police listening? Does the state police understand that moment? And at a high level, what that reflects is an eagerness for the Mass State Police to run towards this conversation. We're not running away from the tough questions. And that's not just me saying that. That's the entire department. That's been my experience with this department, that the women and men in this department recognize the moment and say, we are proud troopers. We understand that there's been issues. We understand it. And we're going to run towards it. We're going to work with the community, shoulder to shoulder. And that excellence initiative provides simply a platform where we can be open with our first steps. And I look for feedback. That's why I'm sitting down here today.
I am curious about the trooper sentiment. Have you received pushback at all? I mean, it can't be easy to have thousands of troopers who feel like the entire department is under a microscope and under constant criticism, and then have to go through this initiative to kind of regain public trust. Have you gotten pushback on that from the troopers at all?
I have not gotten pushback, which is a testament, I think, to the caliber of the women and men that wear this uniform. That said, is it uncomfortable? Absolutely. Absolutely. No trooper, no police officer, no public servant, no professional wants to be in a moment where we have to sort of look ourselves in the eye and say, hey, what are we doing? We need to change. We need to look ourselves in the eye and say, now that said, it's not wholehearted change. This department, by and large, is operating at an exceptional level. And I've been so impressed every day by this department. But that said, I don't think any organization, I don't think any professional wants to have even an outside colonel. If I could talk to that, I recognize that in this moment, very respectfully, that as an outside colonel, what does that mean? What does that mean for the department? I frankly didn't know what level of reception I would get. I know I've been a state trooper for most of my career. I'm very proud. I've always felt a strong connection to the Mass State Police and respect. But that said, until you're here, you don't understand. And but once I got here, it was loud and clear that the troopers welcomed this moment and said, let's go. Let's understand. No trooper likes to have this agency going through what it went through over the last several years. And the rank and file right up to the top command staff and the seasoned troopers, 100% in my experience, have supported what we are doing, saying, yeah, let's be thoughtful too. Let's be strategic. And that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to do it the right way. It's going to take time. I understand that. This is not a Band-Aid. There is no Band-Aid. We are going to work through this together, and it will take time. And I know that the troopers have the resolve to stay with this conversation. We'll go through ups and downs, but we'll do it together. And I just want the community to know that we take their expectations profoundly. The people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts expect and deserve that their Mass State Police are the best in the business, are out there achieving and executing the job of policing to the highest standards. And they should expect that. And we welcome that. And I think that expectation has been built up for over 100 years, so high that when there's a downturn, the public says, that's not the state police. And that's why we are all in this moment. And we say, that's not the state police we know. What happened? Why are we here? So this is a plan. This is a plan for us, the Mass State Police, not just me sitting here as the colonel, but through this department. We are ready, eager, and willing to move forward.
And you plan to stick around for a while?
I do. I'm here as long as it takes. And of course, I serve at the will of the governor, but I'm here as long as it takes. In order for us to work through this, this is going to take time, and it's going to be collaborative.
Okay.
So,
I give everybody this free question at the end. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have that you want to make sure you say?
I appreciate the opportunity. I just believe that at the end of the day, the Mass State Police wants to and understands that we need to connect with our community. We need to work together. I think that collectively there's a lot of noise that's out there. And although there's real issues, I think collectively, I mentioned earlier, focus on some of our common areas. To the extent we can, let's focus on the real issues and let's work together, because the Mass State Police, I believe, wants exactly the same thing that the Commonwealth wants, which is a statewide police force that's operating to the highest standards and is aligned with the best practices. And that is what the Massachusetts State Police, in my opinion, has been known for most of its history. And I think we all want the same thing. So I look forward to engaging with the community. I'll be out there. Our troopers will be out there. And I look forward to the community members engaging with us.
Yeah. Actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. All right. Let's take a quick look here. I want to just recognize a Cash App. Let's see. The Cash App come through from M. Cushion. Thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate it. Listen, actions speak louder than words. Justice for Enrique Delgado Garcia. Justice for John O'Keefe. Justice for Sandra Birchmore. And the list goes on, and I'm getting tired of lists. We need answers to these lists. All right, everybody. I appreciate you all jumping in on this live stream tonight. Hopefully we gave some good content and context back to things that are going on. I was surprised that I got that IA report. I am going to submit some supplemental requests and request the exhibits. I'm going to work on that right now. And I'm also working on getting some other FOIA requests answered for too. And hopefully we'll have some more things to uncover and disclose. I'm going to post up the link to the IA report on my Facebook and on my X account. So if you want to read through it, feel free to read through it and share it. You don't have to listen to our AI voice. I know that it made a couple people angry tonight. Listen, it is what it is, and the information's out there now. So if you want to read through it at your own leisure, please do anything that you want with it. I appreciate all the support here. Thank you for being here tonight. Make sure to smash that like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't done that. We're working our way very close to 55,000 subscribers, 60,000, and then hopefully one day that this channel with 100,000 subscribers. But it takes people like you to make this whole entity and make LTL Matter work. I appreciate you all. Again, thank you so much. I'll be doing an update to my members here pretty soon on the construction of the new studio. I have one of those videos up now if you want to check it out. Got some supplies in the other day. I was waiting for Amazon to deliver today, but apparently they lost my delivery, so I had to reorder some supplies and make that happen. But we'll be doing a part 2 video pretty soon. And in about a month and a half, we'll have a brand new, beautiful studio to work out of and be more creative and get more creative in that room. I have a lot of plans and things that I want to do. And that's it. Just trying to do the best that we can to keep evolving LTL Media and making it one of the best media channels here on YouTube. So again, appreciate all of you. Thanks for checking in tonight. And I hope that everybody had a great time going through the IA report of Michael Proctor tonight. Take care, everybody. I'll most likely be back here on Wednesday night. We're going to get caught up in the Brian Cop to a Fay case out of Connecticut with Sean in Long Island Audit. So we'll probably have some things to drop in that case. And that's it. Makes the world go round. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Peace.